Thank you, Dave. We're under the Friday night lights at Commonwealth Stadium. TSN, the exclusive broadcaster of the Canadian Football League and proud home of the 2008 Grey Cup. Well, 98 hours after the Eskimos had put the finishing touches on Monday's 37-16 victory at McMahon, here we go again. And those are the weather conditions. That wind might kick up a bit as these two teams get set for the Labor Day rematch. As you heard in his interview with Brian Williams, John Hufnagel mentioned his team took a step backward. They can take a major step forward back into a tie for second in the West with a win here this evening. While on the other sideline, Danny Machoch's Eskimos looking for their first three-game win streak since their postseason run to the Grey Cup in 2005.
And a chance for the Edmonton Eskimos to sweep the Calgary Stampeders in 2008, something that Calgary did to Edmonton a year ago. Henry Burris, who is questionable for this one, will go as the starting quarterback for the Calgary Stampeders. Came out late for warm-up here at Commonwealth Stadium. Everyone wondering if he was maybe going to be a late scratch, but in warm-up looked really good throwing the ball. His mobility, however, will likely be a little bit more restricted.
Over 40,000 anticipated here. And the Eskimos introduce their special teams tonight. Let's see if that amps them up as Noel Prefontaine gets set to kick off to Joffrey Reynolds and Nate Curry. Edmonton has won the first two matchups. The third and final regular season matchup between these two is on here in Edmonton. And this is Joffrey Reynolds across the 30-yard line and up close to the 35 to set things up for Henry Burris, who goes back to work. His record 7-5 against the Eskimos as a Calgary starting quarterback.
Was knocked out of the game just before half a week ago. His numbers the last time they played early in the year, over 300 yards passing. He is comfortable from the pocket. Receiving core that's been together, Ralph Lewis, Rambo, and Copeland the entire season. The offensive line, we talked about those two newcomers. More pressure on them because of the lack of mobility Henry may go through.
Rob with a shotgun snap right from the get-go. Ball's down, picked up, but Shannon Garrett is going to run it down to the end zone. Touchdown, first play.
Calgary Stampeders, to a man, said yesterday in practice they were embarrassed by their performance on Labor Day. And they haven't got out of that funk. Hot snap right through the hands of Henry Burris, bounced straight up, and Shannon Garrett ends up with it. What a start for the home team.
Old school takes it in. Shannon Garrett, the 14-year veteran. A disastrous start for Calgary, an extra point from Prefontaine, and 41 seconds in. It's 7-0 for the home team.
This game is also unique in that you have the short break, the short work week between the two games, and I guarantee you the starts for these football teams are more important on this night than any night in the regular season, because as you get further and further behind in a game like this with the short week, your legs become very heavy. And what a start for the Edmonton Eskimos to get the miscue on the shotgun snap, picked up and in the end zone on the very first offensive play of the football game for the Stampeders.
Block from Jason Goss and a convoy to the end zone for that Eskimo defense. And you know that that won't sit well with John Hufnagel.
Well, it's a combination between the two. Rob Lazio has to keep the ball down low, and Henry Burris has to make sure he secures the snap on the shotgun before he looks down the field.
Ninth fumble of the year by that Stampeder team, 21st turnover. Prefontaine kicks it off the tee for a second time in the opening minute. And again, it's Reynolds. And this time he won't reach the 30 before he's gang tackled. Somehow the Stamps have to change the momentum in a hurry.
Well, centers have to keep the ball down in a shotgun snap. They have to keep it down right. You see where Henry Burris's hands are. You want to just float it back, not even a spiral like on a punt snap that's 15 yards away. You just want to float it back to the quarterback so he can take that snap and then get his eyes down the field. Now, Burris does lock on the football, but it's high and a little outside and way too hot for him. And one mistake in the very first play for Calgary.
And it's 32 straight points for Edmonton. And a cutback from Reynolds. And across the 30, short gain for Joffrey Reynolds as we set that Eskimo defense for you.
Well, they've been playing better every game out. This time there will be no Montez Murphy. Tyler Klutz starts at defensive end for him. Augie Baranachea with a big sack that knocked Henry Burris out of the game on Labor Day. And there is the secondary with Shadiq Shabazz in the middle for his third start at safety.
Tonight's starting lineup brought to you by Holiday Inn Hotels. Look again at Holiday Inn. Second down and a pass to Teo Johnson. And the seam route gets Johnson up to midfield, the big tight end, with a huge gain of 25 yards.
Sadiq Shabazz, who I just mentioned as the starting safety, is right here in your screen. And watch where he ends up. He's going to come down here and line up inside the box. Henry Burris sees him vacate the middle, and what he does is go right to the middle on a hot play. This is an adjustment from Labor Day. If the Edmonton Eskimos are going to move their safety around Shabazz, they're going to try and attack that voided area.
Johnson didn't have a catch on Monday. And now Joffrey Reynolds straight ahead. And he'll have 3 to the 51 before he's gang tackled. Ball came loose and a penalty marker down. Thrown by the umpire, Ron Barse.
Well, depending on how things go right now in this drive for the Calgary Stampeders, you've got to imagine that their frustration level will be turned up in a heartbeat here because...
Major foul, necessary roughness, Edmonton, number 94, 15-yard penalty from point ball dead. First down.
Dario Romero charged with unnecessary roughness.
Just to the left of your screen, you'll see Dario Romero take a shot here right there to the head of Jesse Newman.
That's what we didn't see on Labor Day.
Well, I was going to say the frustration level for Calgary, if they don't get points or try and match this score right out of the gate for Calgary, is going to be turned up quickly.
Well, the penalty moves it down to the Edmonton 36. And a pitch, John Cornish. And Cornish with a good gain into the secondary. And a first down to the 23 for the Vancouver area product.
You get a chance to play. Joffrey Reynolds was a little banged up on Labor Day, so I'm sure John Huffnagel will rotate the two of them. But I mentioned that frustration, and then talking to Henry Burris, talking to some of the guys, Juwan Armour, yesterday in practice, they talked about the only good thing about the Labor Day game was that it was a short week for the Calgary Stampeders because they said they were embarrassed. Henry Burris told me that he couldn't sleep all week long thinking about Labor Day. And to go down 7-0 so early, they really need to capitalize on this drive right here.
Joffrey Reynolds talked about redemption. There is an injured offensive lineman, the veteran Jeff Pilon, the senior citizen of that Calgary offensive line, has taken a knee and getting attention here early at Commonwealth. Wendy's CFL on TSN. Friday Night Football is brought to you in part by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. It's way delicious. It's Wendy's. And by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people. Derek Armstrong's in at right tackle for Jeff Pilon, and a first down throw is complete. McLewis the cutback, and he has another first down to the Edmonton 6-yard line. Jason Goss with the tackle.
So far, Henry Burris on this drive looks comfortable in the pocket. Looks like he's able to plant on that back leg. And he's got that shotgun snap from Rob Lazio under control. Good shotgun snap there. That allows him lots of time and that comfort level to find Nick Lewis.
So the Stampeders have driven the ball 74 yards, and they're set up first and goal at the 6. Joffrey Reynolds down to the 3. Reynolds, who came out of Monday's game in the second half after suffering back spasms after a heavy hit on a kick return.
Derek Armstrong in for Jeff Pilon, who's the injured Calgary Stampeder, on the bench for 3 plays at the very least.
Third-year man out of St. Francis Xavier, native of Perth, Ontario. In blocking as Calgary looks for a tying touchdown to Ryan Thelwell. They've got it. What an answer by the Stampeders. After the early gaffe, they bounce right back. And a 4-yard touchdown pass from Burris to Ryan Thelwell.
Well, you know, there's defining moments, and there's this game has just begun. I know it's only mid-season, but if the Calgary Stampeders have success tonight, have success in back-to-back, and put together a little winning streak, I think they would look back at that drive after the start that they had to fumble the opening snap, give up 7, and to answer in the very next drive with a touchdown of their own is big for Calgary.
And DeAngelis ties the score. So 4.5 minutes in, locked up again. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by the 2008 GMC Sierra. Professional grade. Ryan Thelwell was the Labor Day hero last year. A couple of touchdown catches at 199 yards in the 2007 game at McMahon. That's his first touchdown catch of 2008.
Say hi to my babies. What's up, Amari, Ryan? I love you guys.
And a milestone for Henry Burris on the toss. And more importantly for the Stampeders, some much-needed response after the early mistake.
Oh, was it ever? Was it ever? Because if they get nothing and Ricky Ray comes out, he could easily have gone down 14-0 before this game even got underway.
Tristan Jackson's back after missing Labor Day. And he's got it from the 17. And he is leveled. Heavy hit supplied from Dwayne Carpenter. That the 100 touchdown pass for Henry Burris as a Calgary Stampeder. His first was against Edmonton, into the hands of Alan Pitts, and now number 100 to Ryan Thelwell.
And 57 of those touchdowns have been to Copeland or Nick Lewis. Those have been his favorite receivers down around the end zone. But that time it was Ryan Thelwell who fought off coverage to make that catch. But you can see the focus and intensity in Henry Burris's eyes.
Now his counterpart goes to work. Ricky Ray, the offensive player of the week. Little play action. He wanted to go deep. Instead, he's going down. Mike Labinjo with his second quarterback sack of the year. And that's something Calgary was unable to do all of Monday.
Yeah, and it looked like Ricky Ray got up. He was not quite right when he got up there. He looked like he may have injured his back. He was looking deep down the field, didn't have an open receiver there. That gave Mike Labinjo an extra second to get to him, and he looked like he got up awkwardly.
So a loss of 5, 2nd and 15. Eskimos scored on their opening drive the last game, and Ricky Ray is brought down again. Back-to-back sacks for Mike Labinjo.
What a difference for this defensive line. Ricky Ray looks like he's in a little bit of discomfort. Once again, there's Labinjo, this time on the outside, on the opposite side of the formation. The Calgary Stampeders show the blitz from Dwayne Carpenter, then back out. And Labinjo, he just drives that pocket back and collapses the pocket on Ricky Ray.
And the Eskimos fortunate to just maintain possession. Nate Curry lets it bounce around. Now we've got a penalty marker, and Curry is dropped at the 34-yard line. We'll sort out the flag and get more on Ricky Ray when we come back. Ricky Ray getting attention on the sidelines with more. Sarah Orleski.
Well, thanks, Chris. We just saw Ricky Ray get sacked twice by Mike Labinjo. Well, he's getting work done right now on his right shoulder. That appears to be what he's favoring. Jason Moss, who we have not seen yet this season, who's been backing up Ricky Ray, has put the helmet on and does appear to be warming up. Guys?
It's been an eventful 6 minutes. Tie game. Calgary back to work on offense, and off the left side, Joffrey Reynolds. Not much running room as Brandon Gilroy and Dario Romero converged.
I think some of the damage that Ricky Ray, that Sarah is talking about with regards to Ricky Ray, happened on the first sack from Mike Labinjo as he chased him down from the backside, kind of landed on him. That's a lot of weight landing on Ricky Ray, and you could see his shoulders kind of sideways he went down. When he got up from that sack, I could tell there was a level of discomfort.
Well, he is stretching it out there. 285 pounds landing on him. 2nd and 8. Burris has time and guns a completion to Brett Ralph, who will have a Calgary first down at the 33.
You mentioned it in the pregame show about Henry Burris's comfort level in the pocket. It's different for him. His game has been not necessarily always running with the football, but moving the pocket, buying himself time with his legs, moving around in the pocket, rolling out and throwing on the run. He'll be more of a pocket passer. That was a nice strike to Brett Ralph.
Double tight end formation, single penalty. Reynolds again, and Reynolds with a run to the 38-yard line. As 5 more, Joffrey Reynolds with 9 carries, 75 yards on Labor Day, and enters tonight 3rd in CFL rushing.
And he'll be important as well as that offensive line if Burris is going to remain a pocket passer from start to finish in this game to try and protect that turf toe that he's nursing. And it'll put even more pressure on those young guys up front in the middle to try and pick up any blitzes from the Edmonton Eskimos with their guy in the pocket.
2nd and 4, another quick hitter to Ralph, and another first down as he's tossed back, but Jonte Buell with the stop for Edmonton, but not before Brett Ralph provides another first down on this drive.
The offensive line has only given up 13 sacks for the Calgary Stampeders. That's with the mobile Henry Burris. And how many of those sacks has he avoided with his mobility? But you can see him in the pocket. He's perfect so far tonight.
1st and 10, and the pitch, right side, and he's brought down behind the line of scrimmage. That's Bradley Robinson off the corner with a terrific defensive play.
Talked to Danny Machocha yesterday in the walkthrough practice for Edmonton, and he said that this was a play that they were a little bit concerned with in that they practiced this play specifically. Joffrey Reynolds had a touchdown on this play in the Labor Day Classic, and you could see how this time Bradley Robinson, the answer from the corner, comes up and runs support from the defensive backfield.
So a loss of 2 at 2nd and 12. Straight back, the long out, and Ryan Thelwell's there, and he cuts it inside and is finally wrapped up at the Edmonton 45-yard line. So Thelwell's 2nd catch, and Shannon Garrett has to bring him down.
Good time to throw for Henry Burris, and just again focusing on that offensive line. And let's see him in the pocket. Takes that shotgun snap. That's a long throw. It takes time to set up and really step into to get it to the wide side of the field to Ryan Thelwell like that. And Burris had no one in front of him.
They've had to make some adjustments, Clint. They did bring in Derek Armstrong. He's now at guard, and Jesse Newman kicks out to left tackle. First down out of double tight ends. A pass over the middle that was almost intercepted. Jonte Buell in coverage. The intended target was Jermaine Copeland.
And they do have to make that adjustment with Derek Armstrong up on the offensive line. He's going to play for Jeff Pilon. You can see Joffrey Reynolds will also help out in protecting for, pass protecting for Henry Burris. You can see Armstrong, number 60 there, as he gets his chance to get some reps.
And the rookie out of Powell River, Newman, now at left tackle. First incompletion for Henry Burris. And now the big screen, and that's Nick Lewis not going anywhere as the Eskimos defense stiffens. Lewis playing with sore ribs, just 1 catch on Monday.
But you get the feeling that the Calgary Stampede happened on Monday whether it's Nick Lewis, who was a little nicked, or Henry Burris, who has the turf toe, or Joffrey Reynolds, who had back spasms, you'd have to cut the leg off, or, you know, you basically, these guys are playing in this the rematch, because they keep these two games are together. The Labor Day matchup and the rematch for these teams are basically in one package.
Burke Dales angles the punt, not deep, but it does bounce on Jackson, and it will stop up inside the 5. A good kick by Dales, and then Tristan Jackson taken down. Shannon James flying in there. 4:06 left first quarter. Let's rejoin Sarah Orleski.
Chris, time of possession was a huge story in Monday's game, with Calgary, or with Edmonton, should I say, having the ball in their possession for 12 minutes longer than Calgary, a huge differential. Well, tonight, so far, it has been a completely different story. We're about 11 minutes into the first quarter. Calgary has had possession for 9.5 minutes.
Complete reversal from Monday, when the Eskimos took the opening drive and took almost 8 minutes off the clock to start the game. Scored a touchdown. A.J. Harris with a carry up the middle, trying to give Edmonton a little better field position here.
Well, that time of possession, if you win that time of possession battle by 3 minutes or 3.5, 4 minutes, that's enormous. To win it by 12 minutes is unbelievable. I mean, you have now left your defense on the field for maybe 10 more first downs. That's why the Calgary Stampeders lost on Labor Day.
Eskimos lead in time of possession this year, 32.5 minutes a game. Over the middle, a big hit on Kelly Campbell by Shannon James, but Campbell holds on. He'll be short of the first down. Shannon James, who led Calgary with 8 tackles on Monday. Looks like we may get a measurement, as Campbell had to get to the 15 and appears to be about a half-yard short.
Well, this will be a tough one for Danny Machocha if he's just short by half a yard or so, which it looks like he may be. It's that much bigger of a gamble when you're in that end of the field.
And we saw how tough these decisions are with Charlie Taff.
Oh boy,
on Labor Day Monday night.
It's a yard, and they're gonna go. Wow. You could see Danny Machocha, that he was waving the offense as Ricky Ray was on his way to the bench, and he waved him right back into that huddle. When you're giving up a yard on the line of scrimmage, which you do in the CFL, most coaches think you should be able to get a yard, but these short yardage situations have been interesting this year.
Always seem to get tougher the deeper you are in your own end. Have to get to the 15, and Ray with the push, and he breaks that plane easily. Behind Calvin Armstrong, the left guard, who has been drawing praise from his head coach. Ken Lazarick says it is indeed a first down. As we check the Edmonton Eskimo offense for the Labor Day rematch.
Ricky Ray is the starting quarterback, and we've talked about how good he's played this year. A.J. Harris was injured in the last game and was a bit of a question mark coming into this one, but he's fine. Stamps a couple of touchdowns on Labor Day, and there's the offensive line. And Calvin Armstrong has been a guy that Danny Machocha has talked very highly of over the last couple of weeks.
So 1st and 10, and Ray rolls, and that one gets by Campbell, incomplete. And nothing looking as sharp as we saw on Monday. Let's set the Calgary defense for you.
Well, it starts up front. Mike Labinjo's off to a great start in this rematch with a couple of sacks for Labinjo early on that first series. And then you look at the linebacking core with Juwan Armour, the run stopper in the middle. Shannon James is the cover down man. He'll be out in coverage for most of the night. Gus Lysak over the last couple of games has played well, and Brandon Smith plays in there for Calvin Bannister as a starting halfback.
So 2nd and 10, 4-man rush, and Ricky Ray going deep, and Kelly Campbell drops the ball. And that was on the money.
Back to back for Kelly Campbell. Both very catchable balls, and it just looked like he was fighting the football on both. One was a quick out, And this a perfect throw down the sideline as Ray held his eyes right down the middle to hold any deep help away from Kelly Campbell. Looked like that hit him right in the face mask. And right through his hands. Back-to-back games. He has to make that catch.
So Prefontaine boots it away, and a good one. As Nate Curry backpedaling inside his 40. Having a little trouble with the natural turf, and up to the 44. As Prefontaine boots a 54-yarder. Couldn't help but think that there was a theme that you almost have to be a veteran of these 2 games in 4 days to really be able to respond. In the second game, the veterans on both sides telling the newcomers, and you wonder if Kelly Campbell maybe not shifting gears to game 2 in a short week.
Well, he really looked uncomfortable on both of those routes. The one was short, and he fought that football, went right through his hands, and that deep one, boy, he really should have had. That was dropped right in there.
Burris from the gun, and he looks for Rambo. That throw behind has a first down, and he'll be wrestled out by Jordan Younger. But Kenyon Rambo, the leading receiver in the Canadian Football League, has his 53rd grab of the season.
I talked to Henry Burris about this play yesterday, and I said, when you send a guy deep, he said, is that a comfortable throw? Because we were talking about how accurate Ricky Ray is in his deep throw, and he said, you know what I love about it is when I work with Kenyon Rambo, this is an automatic for us. If the coverage is behind, I throw it up over the top. If the coverage is too high, I throw the throw behind, and he knows automatically. We don't even have to say anything to each other.
24-yard pickup. Now Burris has that one drop incomplete, short of Kenyon Rambo. Already a couple of plays over 20 yards in the game for this Calgary offense that had only 4 all of Monday against the Edmonton defense.
Well, and on the other side, the Calgary defense gave up 10 of those plays over 20 yards. And again, you know, when you have that time of possession advantage, you get more opportunities, and that turns into more big plays. That's what Edmonton had on Labor Day.
2nd and 10 for the Edmonton 42. A pump, and now over the middle for Nick Lewis, incomplete. Jonte Buell in the hip pocket of Nick Lewis, who was looking for a flag.
Yeah, Nick Lewis got pounded pretty hard coming right down the field. He kept trying to get open. He got hit early, got through that jam, got around, and then tried to break off his route. And Jonte Buell was right there along with Shadiq Shabazz, I believe.
It was Shabazz. The safety.
Henry Burris locked into him just to the right of your screen, but lots of coverage right down. There was Shabazz who stepped in. He was pounding him all the way down the field.
Sandro DeAngelis on to attempt a 49-yarder. He's hit on 11 straight. 1 miss in 6 games, and that was from 54 yards out into a breeze. Sandro puts that one up and through, and he's 12 for 12. And with 5 seconds left in this opening quarter, DeAngelis gives Calgary the lead.
And John Hufnagel, the head coach, makes a quick note. Okay, my kicker in Commonwealth can make them from 50 yards. That's nice.
26th field goal in 30 tries for DeAngelis.
Well, we often compare kickers to golfers, and you could see he looked like he had just hit the shot to the green, and he was wondering if he had the right club. He was just watching that, because it started out a little bit wide to the left and then drew right back in there and got just inside the left upright.
Season high was 46 until that one went through. Well, a reminder that tomorrow we'll have the Lions and the Tiger Cats in action as Hamilton looks for its 3rd win of the season. Coming up at 3:30 Eastern with our pregame show.
BC Lions this week in practice, there's been some fisticuffs. Tyrone Williams and G-Roy Simon got into it during the work week. I think the BC Lions are going to show up in Hamilton. A little bit of an intense attitude.
But I believe without Charles Roberts.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he's going to play in game 1. Although
the Lions made some news.
Yeah, and we may see Joe Smith, who was the other side of that trade, on this weekend. Winnipeg.
Sunday in Winnipeg as the Saskatchewan Roughriders pay a visit. The Eskimos opting to take this kickoff on what should be the final play of quarter number 1. And a short kick. And Tim St. Pierre, the rookie's got it. Check that. Matt Bertrand, the fullback, has the return on the final play of this first quarter. Stamps have the lead. First quarter stats brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
Well, we heard Sarah talk about time of possession and how lopsided it was in Edmonton's favor on Labor Day. Opposite in the first quarter, just 1 first down for the Eskimos after the start that Calgary had. That's saying something. They had a real good first quarter.
Those numbers unbelievable when you consider the Eskimos had 32 consecutive points against Calgary after that first-minute touchdown, but since then the Stamps obviously with a great rebound.
Well, it showed character for the Calgary Stampeders after getting blown out on Labor Day. They said it was an embarrassing outing for them. They wanted to come back, make amends in this one, and then give up a fumble for a touchdown on the very first offensive play to show that battle back and that want-to factor for the Calgary Stampeders. You got to think that John Huffnagel very excited about that start and the fact that they have a lead after the way they fumbled it away in the first play.
Eskimos' only first down came on a third down gamble. Ricky Ray play action. A.J. Harris out of the backfield, and Harris is going to romp down to the 30-yard line and finally take it down at the 27. A.J. Harris with Edmonton's biggest offensive play of the game.
A.J. Harris starts out where he normally does in the backfield, and then he's just going to work himself out into the right flat. And when he does, it's a pretty easy throw. High percentage show for Ricky Ray. He looks him off and then drops it out. Now it's one-on-one for A.J. Harris. He gets the corner here with a nice move because he's got a two-way go. It can come back into the middle or bounce to the outside. And he shows you a little bit of speed getting outside there of Brandon Smith, the halfback.
39 yards, the 25th catch of the year for A.J. Harris. And a first down, Edmonton. And now rolling left and skipping that pass short of Kamal Peterson. Incomplete.
Well, Ricky Ray dropped that nice throw to A.J. Harris, but he doesn't look quite right. We saw the shoulder, and he was getting some attention after the first series of the game offensively. But especially when he's been moving and trying to throw on the run, he just doesn't look quite as comfortable as he did on Labor Day and has this season.
He was close to perfection in the second half on Monday. 14 of 15 in the second half, and the one incompletion was a touchdown drop by Fred Stamps. Second and 10, Stamps show blitz, and they get to Ray again. That's the third sack already. Shannon James gets to Ricky Ray. A Stampeder defense that had only 1 sack in 21 quarters has 3 in the first half.
One of the blitzers is Wes Lysak, the safety. He's over here to the right of your screen, and he is going to just come right through here, but he's one of a bunch. The Calgary Stampeders obviously not wanting to allow Ricky Ray to stand in there and throw that corner route, which he did 3 times for touchdowns in the second half on Labor Day, and which he has done his entire career. That's how you make him uncomfortable. You send the house.
Shannon James with his first sack. A loss of 10, and that means Noel Prefontaine has his work cut out for him. A 46-yard attempt.
Good job, Pre.
And he'll push that wide. And it's going to be run out. Nate Curry won't reach the 15. So it remains 10-7 Stamps. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Ramada Worldwide. You do your thing, leave the rest to us. Early second quarter. And the Stamps have a first down at their own 13 after the Prefontaine miss. Joffrey Reynolds close to 5 yards, up to the 18-yard line.
Henry Burris looks okay and comfortable on that toe, and he got the turf toe a week ago. Well, under a week, because it's the short week in the Labor Day rematch, but he looks pretty good. He looks comfortable. Hasn't run around a whole bunch yet in this game. Hasn't really had to. The offensive line has held up quite well.
Just 8 completions, 81 yards passing on Monday. 2nd and 5, and that out is incomplete. Jason Goss in tight coverage against Brett Ralph. Let's take a look at what happened to Henry Burris back on Monday.
Augie Baranachea, just before halftime, chases him down. He had jammed his toe there, and Baranachea fell on it.
Henry did talk after the game in the heat of the moment that might have been a horse-colored tackle. Didn't look like it.
No, it wasn't. And he retracted that yesterday. But turf toe can be one of those ones that kind of bug you for the remainder of the season. And I wouldn't be surprised if Henry Burris had to get some help freezing that.
Dale's the kick, and Tristan Jackson across midfield. And Jackson to the Calgary 48-yard line. Great field position for the next S possession. Back at Commonwealth, where Sarah Orleski is with Dave Dickinson.
Dave, you've been through concussions before, but with this one, there was no obvious hit. Does that make it a little bit more of a concern because it didn't come from a big hit?
Well, like you say, I kind of had concussion symptoms, but it was just more that the body just didn't seem to react to normal football plays, and it was concerning, and that's why we're where we're at today.
You know that obviously everybody starts to talk retirement whenever this happens for you, and I know you say that you want to stay in the season right now, but to the average person watching, they think he's accomplished so much. Why not look at retirement? What is it that makes it such a difficult decision for you?
Well, I will definitely have to look at it, but I just want to stay in the season. That's who I am, and I'm going to do what I can. Hopefully we can win a cup.
Thanks so much, Dave.
All right, thank you. Hello, Avery.
Well, and it's good to see that Dave is here, and he's down there, and he's helping out Henry Burris when he can on the sideline in more of a coaching capacity. He's now on the 9-game injured list, which will take him through the entire season, basically, and I think that's it.
First down, hit screen. Brock Ralph through some of the traffic and dropped at the 30 after a 17-yard pickup for A.J. Harris. Well, the Dave Dickinson numbers are impressive. It should be noted that he did not suffer a concussion on Monday, but has suffered post-concussion symptoms again.
The symptoms from the last concussion he had, and they've added up. I mean, tremendous numbers. That's the all-time leading completion percentage in CFL history. He has absolutely nothing to prove, and it's time for his family and the organization and whatever organization he's involved with to say that's enough at the end of the year.
Saw Ben Sankey on the sideline. 2nd and 8. More heat on Ricky Ray, and he stays on his feet and gets it away and completes it to Kamau Peterson. So Ricky Ray battling that Calgary rush, and he comes up with a 17-yard play.
Well, he may have a sore shoulder or sore back, but he fought off this one, and the Calgary Stampeders trying to get more pressure on him. Again, I believe it was Mike Levinjo.
Yes, it was.
Who had his hands all over him, and somehow Ray was able to fight off that tackle, and Levinjo's got him a couple of times already in this game and get it to Kamau Peterson.
First catch for the Canadian Player of the Week, Kamau Peterson. The Eskimos have moved it down to the Calgary 13. Deepest offensive penetration, and A.J. Harris stumbling to the 10.
Now down in this area of the field, you know what Ricky Ray likes. He likes his play, and let's show you exactly what his play, just in case he goes and runs it. Here it is. He's going to have Brock Ralph come short and Kamau Peterson run the out. Then that's where he gets Fred Stamps on the corner route. It puts the safety and the halfback covering him in a bind because they're in a chase position from the inside out, and Ricky Ray is so accurate at dropping that football right in the spot that he has to, which is to the outside, and let his receiver run under it. He loves to run that play right down here in the goal line.
And the defense usually knows it and still has trouble stopping it. Looked that way, and now he reverses field. Charleston Hughes, and Ray has to throw it up, and almost brought down in the hands of Julian Battle, incomplete. But Charleston Hughes with pressure that time on the Eskimo quarterback, who's been running a lot in this first half.
Well, he wanted that exact play, and what happened there is Kelly Campbell just, rather than run the corner, he sat it down. But you watch Ricky Ray come and roll to his left and want to throw that corner route. He's looking there, and then when his receiver breaks down and doesn't continue on with the route, then he breaks to the opposite side and really just tried to throw it away there. He didn't have a receiver anywhere near.
So the drive stalls, and Prefontaine from 17 yards out puts it through, and we're back on even terms at Commonwealth. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. When you're in the zone, time almost stands still. Getting into the zone begins with Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. Welcome back to the Alberta Capital. 8:34 left first half. Tied at 10, and Henry Burris going to air it out, looking for Jermaine Copeland, who has it at the Edmonton 40-yard line.
Well, Henry Burris saw us draw up one of Ricky Ray's favorite plays down in the goal line area, and he says, well, it could work for us too. Let's put Copeland inside and run the corner route to the wide side of the field. Burris does a nice job of looking to the left and then coming back, and watch how he takes one out of the page of Ricky Ray's playbook and drops it over the shoulder of Jermaine Copeland.
That is just the third catch over 20 yards for Jermaine Copeland on the season. A 35-yard hook up from Burris. And a first down at the Edmonton 40. The toss left side. And Joffrey Reynolds just gets back to the line of scrimmage.
Every Friday night, of course, Chris, you know that we like to say a shout out and hello to one of the regiments or men or women in the Canadian Armed Forces. And tonight, on the night that we hand out the Gladiator Award on Friday night, it's to Corporal Montgomery of 12 Field Squadron, 1 Combat Engineer Regiment from right here in Edmonton. This picture was taken in late August during a successful operation preventing insurgent command and control centers in the Kandahar region. And again, huge thank you to our men and women in the armed forces. We like to do it every Friday.
What an honor to meet General Natimchuk on Monday. Here's Burris escaping, getting it to Joffrey Reynolds to the 32-yard line. Reynolds will come up just short of the first down, but a little bit of agility from Henry Burris with the bad.
Yeah, he got spun around there, but not only did he get spun around, but he had the presence of mind to find and know and locate Joffrey Reynolds again. So he got spun all the way around, and he knew that Joffrey Reynolds would end up in that same spot and was able to get out of there and drop it to him. Good awareness from Henry Burris.
Kenny Onatolo off the edge with the pressure. Dario Romero and Shannon Garrett made sure Reynolds didn't get the first down. And that will bring out Sandro DeAngelis, whose 49-yard longest came in the first quarter. Sandro surveying a 40-yarder. And he has 13 consecutive field goals, and the Stamps have a lead again.
Ricky Ray on Labor Day was off the hook good. I mean, I've ran out of words to describe how good Ricky Ray was, not just running the football, but here's a few of those examples we show you. That's the play that he loves, that corner route. He hit Kamau Peterson. He hit Fred Stamps a couple of times on the money for just shy of 400 yards and 3 touchdowns.
In his last 5 starts against the Stampeders, 12 touchdowns, 1 interception. But it's been a quiet night so far.
Got off to a bit of a rocky start with having to deal with Mike Labinjo on the first series a couple of times. one little drive going when he used A.J. Harris.
Ray had more completions after the first drive on Monday than he does so far tonight. And hooks up here. Fred Stamps gets his first catch, cuts it back inside, and at the 45 he has a first down. One of the keys to this attack is how easy the Ricky Ray pass is to catch, says Kamal Peterson.
His accuracy is well documented, but to live it is something that, you know, I think every receiver should probably experience if they can. He just throws such a catchable ball, and he seldomly puts you in trouble.
And Kamal Peterson thriving with Ricky Ray, 5th in CFL receiving. A.J. Harris a first down carry and tripped up right away at the line of scrimmage as Shannon James, who's been active again tonight, makes the stop.
You heard Kamal Peterson say catchable ball, and you hear I've heard that many times. What I like when I heard the one that it's receiver friendly. Ricky Ray passes are receiver friendly, because what it means is that the receiver, number one, doesn't have to break stride to go and get a football. He can just continue on his route running full speed, and Ricky Ray will judge his speed and drop it in there.
2nd and 8. Good pocket protection that time, and there's Kamal Peterson with one of those catchable passes with Shannon James on his tail.
And that's not the deep route, but that's a good example of what we're talking about, because it's going to be to the right of your screen, and Ray will lead Kamal Peterson across the field so that he can continue to run. He's got real close coverage right here, but you see that football thrown outside to the outside shoulder. Kamal Peterson reaches to it, comes back a half a step, and makes the catch. Receiver friendly.
And one touchdown pass away from tying the great Warren Moon on the all-time Eskimo list. A.J. Harris thundering again, and he's dropped at the 46-yard line. A.J. Harris showing no ill effects from a leg injury on Monday that had him in the questionable status for most of the week.
Yeah, and he only had 9 carries in that game, so he'll be one of the rested players, even though he is coming off being a little banged up on Monday. Because if you think back 2 games ago to the Saskatchewan game, that's when he really had his breakout game. 21 carries, 189 yards, and a touchdown against the Rough Riders.
So the Eskimos looking at 2nd and 3. Ray steps up, and there's a collision. A.J. Harris stopped in his tracks. Brandon Smith moved up and prevents an Eskimo first down.
Brandon Smith learned from the one a couple of series ago when he got beat to the outside, and this time he saw it, he recognized it quicker, and he got up there before A.J. Harris could turn the corner. Remember that one that A.J. Harris did the exact same thing, snuck out and got the corner and got big yards to the outside. This time Brandon Smith said, I've seen that one once.
3-minute warning given to the benches here at Commonwealth. Well, we've had more than 2 million entries, and you've only got a couple of more days to get in your final entries for Wendy's Kick for $1 million, and a chance to be one of the 4 kickers who will kick off for a chance to win those great prizes.
1 kick, $1 million. They hand you a check.
And a kick here from Prefontaine, looking for the corner, drilling that into the end zone, and it'll bounce to the back line for a single point. A 66-yard punt and a 13-11 score in favor of the Stamps.
We talked to Burris, and everyone was asking about his lack of mobility, if he had that turf toe problem, and how it was going to affect his game. I think his game's been pretty good. He was the guy who said right away, he said, you know, I don't know why everyone considers me a quarterback that has to run and throw the ball on the run. He said, I feel comfortable in the pocket, and it'll be no problem tomorrow night. He looks pretty good.
On pace for 300. He had 5 straight 300-yard games, but none in his last 3 starts. Adding to his total here with a first down completion to Nick Lewis, who takes some punishment, but gets up with the football. And again, Lewis suffering a rib injury on his only catch of the Labor Day game.
And this one, he's going to feel every little bit of that rib injury, because this is one of those ones he has to take the hit. Jonte Buell from one side, he gets hit a couple of times on that play. Paid the price for that catch and first down.
80 consecutive games with a catch for number 82. Here comes the rush, but Burris gets it out, and Ryan Thelwell's been busy in this first half. And that one stung.
When the Edmonton Eskimos have played zone defense, that's where Henry Burris has gone with the football. You mentioned we've seen it a couple of times. The zones are usually going to roll away from the wide side of the field. And Burris, one of the few quarterbacks that can throw that wide side with accuracy, and finds Thelwell. Not only does he find him with the completion, an accurate throw, but he allows Thelwell to turn and make a move on his defender.
Ryan Thelwell came into the game with just 7 catches on the year. He has 3 tonight, including a touchdown catch from Henry Burris, number 100 for Burris as a Calgary Stampeder.
Bradley Robinson was a little shaken up over there on the sideline. They're tending to him for the Edmonton Eskimos. 3 interceptions for Robinson so far this year. Had 3 in a row.
He had something, he said something a couple of weeks ago I wanted to ask you about. He said after that string of interceptions that you should intercept 1 out of every 3 passes thrown your way. And I thought that's easy to say, but I mean, is that the yardstick for defensive backs?
I think that's high expectations, to be honest with you. I know when you start to get interceptions, sometimes they come in bunches. They did for Bradley Robinson. Looks like he'll be okay, because he did get 3 in a row. And when that's happening, you feel like, man, you throw it in my area anywhere and I'm going to get it, or I have at least an equal chance at it. You start to feel like you're in that zone, but then all of a sudden you'll go 4 or 5 games without one, and you'll start to wonder if you're going to get another one. So you caught him, Chris, when he was in that zone and in that 3 in a row streak.
Tristan Jackson comes in to replace Robinson, who Danny Machocha said drove our receivers crazy in training camp. He was that good. 1st and 10. This one dropped in for the tight end who can't hang on, Teo Johnson.
It looked like Teo Johnson just got a little nonchalant with that football. Came out of the backfield, and he just kind of tries to reach back with one hand. Well, maybe it was a little bit far behind him, but you know, I was going to follow up on your thought there, Chris, with Tristan Jackson. I know Danny Machocha wanted to keep him on the special team, so as long as Bradley Robinson's okay, you know that they're going to want to get him back after his 3-play sit.
Jackson missed Monday, an ankle injury in practice last week. Penalty marker in that play stopped by Ken Lazarick. There was some movement on that Calgary offensive line.
Well, it's tough because the Edmonton Eskimos put everybody up on the defensive line, all their linebackers, and then they have got to, what they're saying to the Calgary O-line is, which one of us is going to blitz and which one are going to drop.
Good to see Jeff Pilon back in the game, although he's heated up right now about that call.
Procedure, Calgary number 1, 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
And they charge it to the quarterback, Henry Burris.
There's Pilon there. I thought he just flinched a little bit as well. We'll see if, well, Burris kind of shook his head a little bit. Pilon come out of the stance a little early there.
At the senior stamp, back at right tackle. After going out early in the first quarter. 2nd and 15. Burris stands in and overthrows his intended target. And it'll be 3rd down.
Henry Burris wanted Jermaine Copeland to read the defense and go where the defender was not, which was to the middle of the field. And he had to throw it before Copeland made his break. What Copeland is going to run is He's right here, and he's going to run a corner route. But I'm going to show you what Henry Burris wanted him to run. He goes down the field, and he wanted him to go to the open area. And the open area is right in this section here, not over into the corner, because that's where his player is playing him on that outside shoulder. He threw it into the middle. Copeland went to the outside.
Burke Dales with a kick, and it sails into the end zone. Tristan Jackson letting it bounce around, and he'll concede the single point. There was no yards on Calgary. And so we'll wait till Edmonton gets the options, but in all likelihood, it's a 3-point Calgary lead again. 1:46 remaining in this first half that started badly for the Stampeders. A first play fumble recovery for a touchdown by Edmonton. And again, Ken Lazarick giving the Eskimos the options on the penalty.
You know, both these punters, Noel Prefontaine and Burke Dales there, missed an opportunity. They both were trying to angle it out, and they both put it in the end zone. Those are yards lost that could come back and haunt you.
Not sure why the meeting's this long. You saw Danny Machocha clearly say he wants the football at the 35. Put the point on the board.
No yards. Calgary number 48. That penalty's declined. 1 point. First down.
And 14-11 the score. And when the first half's done, it's Rona at the half. The guys back in the comfortable confines of their studio after that much ballyhooed appearance last Sunday at Mosaic Stadium.
That won't be the same for some time.
And the appearance wasn't just at Mosaic, it was throughout Regina. Fred Stamps a catch across midfield. And then he'll step out, stop the clock on the Eskimo side of half. But it's an 18-yard pickup for number 2, Fred Stamps.
And the Edmonton offensive line has made some adjustments and have allowed Ricky Ray a little more time. He's going to shuffle a little bit to his right just to buy himself an extra second. But the offensive line, after a tough start to this game where they gave up back-to-back sacks in the first series, have made some adjustments and have given Ray a little more time.
3 Eskimo receivers on pace for over 1,000 yards and 3 over 90 yards last week. More pressure, but it's dumped off, and Kamal Peterson tripped up and tagged down by Juwan Armour at the Calgary 49.
Talked to Danny Machocha about Kamal Peterson and the season he's having, and he talked about a guy that he thinks that Kamal Peterson is the absolute clone of. And it'd be interesting to know as we just run that promo for halftime is that the guy he mentioned was Jock Limey.
Right.
And he said that when I look at Kamal Peterson, when I listen to him in the locker room, when I, as articulate as he is, and I said, say what? But no, as articulate as he is, and talked about how he route runs, how he thinks the game, he said he's a clone of Jock Limey.
E.J. Harris on 2nd and 3. And I'm not sure he got there. Well, that's high praise when you consider that the Queens grad Jock Limey, over 600 catches, just under 10,000 yards, 56 touchdowns.
Well, yeah, and when you say think the game, you know, you could see Jock Limey, the lawyer, thinking the game. And when I talk about that, it's the same with Kamal Peterson. You sit and have a conversation with him. He writes in the local newspaper here. He, you know, is on all the radio shows and things like that. And you can tell he's very well spoken. And when you're thinking the game, it's things like this, little things where you're maybe running on a defensive back and you say, okay, I'm going to set him up with 2 or 3 moves this way, and then I'm going to break it on the key play the opposite direction. And little things like that can get you open as a receiver.
Left guard Calvin Armstrong down and getting attention, and will step out here with 1:10 to go, first half. So Calvin Armstrong still getting attention to either the left ankle or knee. As Miguel Robide pushes him over the pile, and
Grabbed his left ankle.
He replaced Dan Komisky on that offensive line for the Eskimos. Komisky getting close to returning. Apparently he was lifting tires today, throwing them around, and Coach Machocha said that the workout was an indication he's getting close to 100%.
Well, he also said yesterday that Calvin Armstrong, he enjoys watching Calvin Armstrong run block more than he enjoys watching Ricky Ray dissect a defense. Looks like he'll be okay. You know, offensive linemen hate when they get hurt. You know, they just, you know, most guys walk off and look like they're, you know, they're sad. The offensive linemen hate it. They just, it's not supposed to happen to them.
Good news was he did walk off under his own steam. Looks like he might be able to continue. 3rd and 3, and Prefontaine boot downfield. Nate Curry on the return, and Matthew Bertrand finishes him off. 59 seconds left in this opening half. What's Henry Burris going to do starting deep in his own zone?
Wouldn't think that he'd be too aggressive in this situation, especially as deep as he is.
Talked about this before, though. You're too conservative, and you do give Edmonton maybe a chance with a few seconds on the clock with decent field position. So if you don't move the ball, the Eskimos do have their timeout. One big play offensively, and you might think about offense, but Joffrey Reynolds is stuffed. Short gain there, maybe a yard.
That play took 6 seconds. So you're right, Chris. I mean, the Stampeders will need a first down here to be able to kill the rest of this clock, or Edmonton may get a chance. Managing the final minute and a half, 2 minutes of the first half and of the game in the CFL is very different in the National Football League. Mark Trestman has found that out in Montreal, and every coach learns that quickly.
2nd and 9. And Burris airs it out looking for Copeland and overthrowing the well-covered Copeland as Jonte Buell was step for step.
Calgary Stampeders will have to kick this football away.
So a half minute remaining on the clock.
The upside of a play like this, Chris, is that it's not too high risk because the quarterback can throw it to the outside shoulder. If Copeland doesn't get it, nobody does. The downside is it doesn't take that long. When the ball is incomplete, the clock stops right there.
Henry Burris started 6 for 6 since he is 6 for his last 13. Tristan Jackson awaits at the Edmonton 50. High boot by Dales, and it's Jackson back at the 40. Jackson trying to get outside, and does! Across midfield, Tristan Jackson down to the 28-yard line. He's back! And he has Eskimo fans on their feet again.
And discipline from the entire punt return team for the Edmonton Eskimos, because they had what's called a wall return set up to the right, and Tristan Jackson had to go all the way outside the left hash to get the football and then come all the way back across the field to get to that wall. And the wall is set up. He's got the outside, and that's tremendous discipline to stay with it, even though the kick took Tristan Jackson all the way to the opposite side of the football field.
42-yard return for Trismo. And the Eskimos have 15 seconds to work with, starting at the Calgary 30.
I'm back, baby.
Is this your corner route? No, it's a screen. Harris. First down. And Harris all the way down along the sidelines. Where are they going to mark him out? Looks like the 11.
It gives them a chance, though, with about 6 seconds left. If Ricky Ray could try and go for the end zone, Edmonton will call their timeout to think about it. The only problem is they don't get it out.
You can read Noel Thorpe's lips on the sidelines. He said, I don't think so. They've got a decision to make. And do you take the easy 3, or can you execute a 5-second touchdown attempt.
Well, and if you're going to the end zone, you're on the 12-yard line, it's going to take you at least 2 seconds. And I like this choice by Danny Machocha because it's going to take you at least 2 seconds, 3 seconds to even get your receivers in the end zone. So you know it's the last play. If you get 3 or 4 seconds now, by the time the ball arrives to the end zone from Ricky Ray, it's going to be the last play of the half. Now, if you get the touchdown, great, but chances are not great, so you got to go with the easier points. I like this decision.
So he's hit from 17. Prefontaine now from 19 yards out to tie the game. 4 seconds remaining.
Boy, it would be tempting, though, wouldn't it? When you have 6 seconds and you have Ricky Ray and you have that corner out and you have all those things. And as well as they executed it on Labor Day, it is tempting, but you're right at that bubble mark at 6 seconds. I mean, you're right there, 6, 7 seconds. That's about it for one play, but
you could almost argue, and you can't fault Harris, but
get out a little quicker.
If he'd got out a little quicker, it would have given him an option. Of course, Harris thinks he can score from that area. Now we're going to get a little Calgary Edmonton, as they were going to take a knee, and Rob Lazio didn't like the shot he took from Dario Romero, and away we go. We didn't have any of this on Monday, and we usually get some of it on Labor Day or the Labor Day rematch. One free shot from Dario Romero, and Rob Lazio with the response from the Stamps.
Most of the time, the offense will say to the defense, okay, we're going in at halftime, and you're going to kneel down, and then let's just... And Romero stepped up and took a little hit there.
The shot was initially on Jesse Newman, but Lazio, the veteran, went to the aid of a teammate, and these two teams will go cool off for the halftime period. Tied 14-14 after 30 minutes in the Labor Day rematch at Commonwealth Stadium.
Coach, on that first possession when it was a fumble, it could have been an oh no, here we go again. How important was it to the mindset of that offense, though, to come back with a touchdown on the next possession?
It was huge to be able to get back on the field and do something positive to get our team back into the game.
Something that you weren't able to do in Monday's game was get a lot of pressure on Ricky Ray. That was a different story in the first half here. What was the defense able to do in this first half in order to be successful in that area?
Well, we're winning some individual matchups, number one. When we get there, we're making some tackles. You know, he's very elusive. He's still making us miss a few times.
Thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you.
What's up, TSN?
Welcome back to Edmonton. TSN, the exclusive broadcaster of the Canadian Football League and proud home of the 2008 Grey Cup game. There's the score headed to the third quarter, but first, Sarah Orleski and Danny Machocha.
Coach, after Calgary controlled much of the clock in the first quarter, it was much more even when the half was over. What did the team do differently in the second quarter?
Well, we decided to come out and play 30 minutes of passionate football with a ton of intensity. So we just got to come out here, make plays, secure the football, make the catches we're supposed to make, and play at the level that we're capable of playing at.
You say when it's a tie game heading into the second half, what is it that you emphasize to the team?
Play every play as if it's the last one you're gonna have an opportunity to play out there.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Danny Machocha's Eskimos, the only unbeaten home team in the CFL, 4-0, and John Hufnagel's Stampeders trying to win their third consecutive on the road. A Stampeder team that has not been good on the road in recent years, but has won in Saskatchewan and BC. Can they win here tonight and get back into a second place tie in the West?
They win here tonight. It's 4 road games, which is equal to what they won on the road the last 2 years combined. So that has improved for John Hufnagel's version of the Calgary Stampeders. See 06 and 07. Just 2 wins on the road in those seasons. And
in fact, last year, the only road wins were here.
yeah, that's right.
So they did not win outside of Alberta last year, but have won in some tough buildings this season. Trying to rebound from Monday's second half, in which they surrendered the final 25 points. And Kelly Campbell brought down quickly. Justin Phillips roaring downfield as we check the quarterback numbers through 30 minutes.
Well, after Henry Burris fumbled the first shotgun snap, gave up 7 points. He looked better in the first quarter, and then, as Chris Schultz said at halftime, kind of slowed down in that second. And as he was slowing down, Ricky Ray was picking up his pace. 10 of 14, 129. Got a lot of those yards in the second quarter.
I don't think either quarterback's reached their apex yet.
No, they have not. Remember, it was the third quarter that really was the turning point on Labor Day.
They start at their 22, and Ricky Ray throws an interception. Shannon James has the pick, and he has the touchdown.
Just about to say, Chris, it was the third quarter and 3 quick turnovers by Calgary on Labor Day that turned the game around so quickly, and just like that, Ricky Ray steps in and throws it right into the hands of Shannon James, who he does not see.
Let's go, boy! We back!
Number 23 with 23 on the return for the Major. His first interception of the year.
He lines up on the left side of the formation. That's why he doesn't count him in the pass coverage. And Shannon James slides over the middle, and Ricky Ray throws it right to him.
Lysak with a pick last week. James with an even bigger one here tonight. The CFL on TSN brought to you in part by Nissan's Make the Call. Play on cfl.nissan.ca for your chance to win a trip to the Grey Cup game. Another opening minute defensive touchdown. This is going to the Stampeders.
Yeah, it was those turnovers that cost the Stampeders on Labor Day. Now they get one in the rematch to start the second half, and Shannon James is putting together a good football game. Remember, he had a sack in the first half on Ricky Ray and a couple big tackles.
8 tackles on Monday, and he's been even more of a force here tonight. Tristan Jackson cut down at the 25-yard line. Again, Dwayne Carpenter, first man down for the Stamps.
We have a great look of this interception and touchdown. There's Shannon James. I'm going to show you how he hides over there and then slides across. Ricky Ray is looking at a window, and that window is for right here. Kelly Campbell coming in, and he sees Grotegood here, the linebacker. He's going to try and time it up and throw it into the window, but Shannon James has slid across from the opposite side. He takes that football away, not counted by Ricky Ray, and then just beats him to the end zone.
Okay, when Edmonton scored a defensive touchdown to start the game, Calgary came back and answered. Let's see what Ricky Ray can do after his miscue. A.J. Harris exploding off the side all the way to midfield. He had 91 yards from scrimmage in the first half and just ripped off another big gain.
Well, you know, it's amazing to me that A.J. Harris, who's right in the backfield behind Ricky Ray, has run this play 3 times. The first time, it was successful like this. The second time, he got tackled in the backfield by Brandon Smith, number 28. But this time, they put a blocker out in front of him in Calvin Armstrong, and Armstrong picks up Brandon Smith, allows A.J. Harris some room to the outside.
32 for A.J. Harris, closing in on a 100-yard receiving game out of that Edmonton backfield. Now he'll carry it straight ahead. And a tough 2-3 for Harris on the ground.
Defense is kicking it up here. They started the game with a defensive touchdown from the Edmonton Eskimos off this miscue. The shotgun formation for Calgary, that was Shannon Garrett. And in the rematch, we start the second half with a Calgary defensive touchdown.
Yeah, both touchdowns scored by number 23.
Wow, things happen on Labor Day in the Labor Day rematch.
2nd and 8 from the Stamp 51. Here comes the blitz, but play halted by Ken Lazarick, and there was some movement on that Edmonton offensive line in anticipation of the pressure.
Well, Shannon James, who's been all over this football field, walked up, as did Juwan Armour. And it looked like they were going to blitz both from the same side of the field. And when they did, it looked like the offensive line recognized it. Shannon James is right here and Armour right beside him. And watch how they walk up to the line of scrimmage. The offensive line realized, oh, we might have to block that blitz. And they come out of their stance. I think it was Kabongo.
Patrick Kabongo, the right guard, was the man moving prematurely. 2nd and 13. Back on the Edmonton side of half. Protection for Ray, and now releasing is Harris. Harris trying to get to the first down stick, and he's going to get there, powering his way to a first down. As he pushed back on Dwight Anderson, the quarterback, and over 100 yards receiving for A.J. Harris tonight.
3-man pressure from the Calgary Stampeders, so Ricky Ray knows that he is going to wait and allow all those droppers, all the guys in the pass coverage for Calgary, to get deep enough so that A.J. Harris will have some room. Ricky Ray recognized the 3-man rush. He held on to the ball long enough to give Harris some time.
He likes playing at Commonwealth Stadium. His last home game, 189 rushing, already 105 receiving tonight. Ray stands in, and Harris is going to add to his totals with a few more, and is punished there by Dwayne Carpenter.
Success on first down in this drive, though, for Ricky Ray, and using A.J. Harris out of the backfield. What happens if the quarterback continues to throw to the backs? The defense is forced to play man-to-man defense to come up and stop him, and that will mean that they'll take a linebacker like Shannon James and try and cover A.J. Harris out of the backfield in a man-to-man situation. That's when you see Ricky Ray then go to Fred Stamps or Kamau Peterson down the field, because he gets the one-on-one in the secondary.
2nd and 2. Matt Grudiget into the game defensively. First man through is Bertrand, the fullback, and he'll have the first down. Late flag. Some jostling well away from the play. Was that Brandon Browner and Kelly Campbell?
It was, yes.
And that wasn't close to anything involving the football.
It's funny because the Calgary Stampeders switched things up against the Edmonton Eskimos on Labor Day. Calgary in the secondary have been a team that like to get up in the face of receivers and play bump and run. And on Labor Day, they backed off. They gave the receivers for Edmonton a lot more room. Clearly, that didn't work out. And I saw Brandon Browner get up, and James has been up in coverage a bunch, and get back to that old style, the old Calgary style.
The Eskimos said they prepared all last week for Calgary's signature press coverage, and they didn't get it at all on Monday. Oh, we have problems with Ken Lazarick's microphone, but I believe it's Kelly Campbell in the face mask.
Yes.
After first down yardage had been gained. You know, on Labor Day, we had 4 penalties for 32 yards. That's astounding between these two teams.
The Edmonton Eskimos have not been in double figures in penalties all season long. They're averaging 6.7 penalties per game. And as you mentioned, they had just 5 last week on Labor Day.
Least penalized team in the league. Campbell looked like he was continuing the debate with Browner from the huddle. It is a 1st and 10 to back at the 45. More flags flying all over the place. And Ray running, and now just throwing the ball away. But there are 3 markers on the field.
Well, I think this was going to come back. Joe McGrath was working one-on-one on Mike Lobinjo.
Fans, we apologize. It appears the official's microphone is not working at the moment. We'll try to relay as much information as we can.
63 is going to get napped for holding.
Former Calgary Stampeder draft choice, the number 2 pick overall in 2003. Not sure there wasn't one other penalty, unless All 3 flags were for the same offense.
Offside, that was declined. Holding, number 63, which is Joe McGrath, will be first down over again. They'll take the holding penalty, not the offside penalty. Labinjo is right here, and you're going to see him one-on-one on number 63, Joe McGrath, and you're going to see the holding. Inside move, and then he comes back out, and look at McGrath grab him and hook him down, and that's why Ricky Ray was able to escape.
And Labinjo's been a handful all night. So it's 1st and 20 back at midfield. The Eskimos had moved the football down to the 30. Ricky Ray looking in that direction. Kamal Peterson hung up long enough to bring it down.
When A.J. Harris has success, it pulls the linebackers closer to the line of scrimmage, and they can't get in that intermediate zone to help out. So Kamal Peterson now takes the next best thing, and what he's going to do is work into the open area in behind of the linebacker core, and Ricky Ray will throw him open. Here comes Kamal Peterson, number 8, a little bit deeper than the linebackers, who are still worried about A.J. Harris. Completion for Edmonton.
So a 30-yard pass play to Kamal Peterson. And a fresh set of downs. Now A.J. Harris makes the first man miss and has another first down. Shannon Jean pushes him out, but he's inside the 15-yard line.
That's the other thing. When Ricky Ray has used A.J. Harris on the short crossers just coming out of the backfield, or on these little swing passes, A.J. Harris is making the first guy miss, and it's been this matchup between he and Brandon Smith, and right now I would say it's about 4-1 A.J. Harris in the one-on-one matchup in the open field with Brandon Smith. Smith's made 1 tackle, but A.J. Harris has made a miss 3 or 4 times now.
8th start for A.J. Harris. And again, he was a doubtful starter for this game, coming out early in the second half last Monday in Calgary, but he's been too much for the Stamps to handle offensively so far tonight. They mark him just short of the first down, 2nd and inches. And Ray will plunge ahead and get a first down for Edmonton.
It's so difficult for linebacking core when there's this kind of balance between touches for the running back and then the passing game in behind the linebacking core, because for Shannon James, Dwayne Carpenter, Juwan Armour, Matt Grotegood, if he's in, they are so now focused in on number 34 that they won't get as deep. They won't be able to help the secondary as much in the passing game. So they're going to be on their own in more man-to-man, more open spaces behind them.
Eskimos trying to answer after the interception touchdown by James, but Ricky Ray in trouble, and Charleston Hughes wrestles him down back at the 25. That's the 4th sack of the night for this Stampeder defense.
Charlton Hughes is coming from the outside. I believe he's working again on Joe McGrath, as he's going to step up the field. Matthew Bertrand, the fullback, goes right by him, doesn't help McGrath. Good speed move from Charlton Hughes to come all the way around the corner and get to Ricky Ray.
So Ricky Ray, who was untouched on Monday, has been beaten up a bit by this Calgary defense tonight. Sacked 4 times, and now 2nd and 21. Has more time here in the flat. Andrew Nowacki, a catch. And he'll get back to the 18. And Noel Prefontaine will come on with the field goal unit.
This is where Ricky Ray loves that corner route. I thought they might run it because they had the setup. They had Kelly Campbell in here, but what he did is he flattened it out. Rather than go to the corner, he flattened it out, so Ricky Ray lost that option. Number 71 comes into your screen there. That's usually the corner route by him, but you see how he kind of got jammed at the line. And I believe the guy jamming him again was Shannon James, that took away that corner, forced Ricky Ray to throw it underneath.
Prefontaine from 27 yards out. And he is good. And it's 21-17, Calgary. Well, for every sack in tonight's game, Purolator donates the quarterback's weighted food to a local food bank. Purolator, where business is going, and the Stamps making some contributions.
Well, the Stamps are up 4-0 so far tonight, and on Labor Day, the Edmonton Eskimos won the sack battle 3-0. So it's the opposite. If every instinct you've ever had is wrong, do the opposite.
Calgary matching a season high with 4 tonight, and up top, intended for Rambo, and just a step too far for Henry Burris.
Henry Burris has gone to Rambo a couple of times down the sideline, and there's Rambo there. This time he's going to go to Rambo right across the middle, and receivers will often set up their defensive backs. You can see he had a chance. He had a bit of a step in an inside position there. Shadiq Shabazz did recover to get back to that middle.
Midway through the third quarter, the first offensive possession for the Stampeders of the third quarter. Burris guns that incomplete and is now 6 for his last 15 after a hot hand early in this game.
On the second down, though, I'm going to put that one on the receivers because Jermaine Copeland and Kenyon Rambo were basically in the same area. They were a little bit of a layer between them, but looked like it went over Copeland, who fell down, and just in front of Rambo. So intended receiver looked like Copeland. They're a little too close. Usually receivers have more separation than that. That's likely what Burris is talking to George Cortez about.
Third 2 and out, the second in a row for Calgary. And Tristan Jackson awaits. The punt from Burt Dales. Short kick. Jackson on the run. Across the 45, and Randy Chevrier, the former Edmonton Eskimo, meets him there. And things get heated again. Bodies flying all over. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. When you're in the zone, time almost stands still. Getting into the zone begins with Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. Back in Edmonton, 6:21 to go. Third quarter, 21-17. The visitors have the lead. The home side back to work on offense, and Ray has time, and now it runs out. The screen play, and A.J. Harris stays on his feet and gets back to the line of scrimmage, and a couple when it looked like he'd be stopped for a loss.
That last play, Matthew Bertrand helped out on Mike Labinjo, who's had a pretty good evening. Started out with a pair of sacks on Ricky Ray. That was the first series of the game for the Edmonton Eskimos offensively, and Labinjo was right there on both plays. And if you can't block him, you're going to have to start holding him, and that's what happened just recently. He's had a good game so far tonight.
Started the year as a middle linebacker in his second season. Now at defensive end, 2nd and 8. And Kamau Peterson the catch, but they close quickly on him and prevent the first down. Brandon Smith was there along with Juwan Armour when it looked like Peterson might be able to get to the first down stick.
Labinjo had 1 sack coming in. He had a very good game against the BC Lions a couple of games ago. Credits a lot of his success, and as he's grown up to the Big Brother program. A gentleman by the name of Frank Giffen, a businessman in Ireland, who was his big brother.
Got him to St. Mike's, where he became a star. Nate Curry from his 5 slips and not going anywhere. Derek Doggett, first man down. Dave Dickinson not in uniform tonight, but continues to consult with Henry Burris. And with more on that, let's rejoin Sarah Orleski.
Well, Chris, a lot of people have talked about Henry Burris's maturity as a quarterback this year, and he leads the league with a 67% passing completion percentage. I asked asked him what type of effect it's had having Dave Dickinson back on this roster with him. And he pointed to the history that they have, that when he first started in Calgary, it was Dickinson that was here along with Jeff Garcia. He said that it's an extra set of eyes for him in the pregame as well as during the game. And if you watch them on the sidelines, they are in constant communication.
Absolutely. Extra set of eyes. A guy who can talk in practice, work with him in practice. When he comes off the field, they talk about what Dave saw and what he can do to help Henry Burrs try to see the field better from the pocket.
Henry looking at 2nd and 6 here, trying to improve the field position. Time to throw wide open. Ryan Thelwell's got a first down. Tristan Jackson brings him down at the 35, and the ball's loose, and the Eskimos have it. Sadiq Shabazz, the safety, has the football, and I think Ryan Thelwell wants John Hufnagel to challenge with the signal that his knee was down.
It's going to look, this one's going to be close because Sadiq Shabazz does what a couple of defenders have done. We've had a couple just like this in the last few games where he goes down by contact but doesn't come out before either Ryan Thelwell hits the ground or hits Sadiq Shabazz on the ground, because either way he'd be down by contact. Is it out before that? To see there because his back was to us.
Looked like the ball was starting to come out. That ball's out.
It looked like that ball might have touched the turf just before he touched the shoulders. Tristan Jackson across the shoulder pads. Boy, that's very close, but it looked like that ball might have been out.
It's out there.
Touch is there, and then he hits the ground after that. See, right there, it's still not ruled a fumble yet because he still has it in his body. It has to be separated from him. But I think it was.
Challenge flag out on the Calgary sidelines.
Saying the player was down by contact.
John Hufnagel mentioned that he did not challenge one of the second-half fumbles last week because of advice from up top that there wasn't enough evidence to overturn. In this case, it has been ruled a fumble on the field, and Ken Lazarick will look for evidence to overturn.
When it's a fumble, not whether or not it's completion or incompletion, but when it's trying to be ruled either a fumble or a non-fumble down by contact, if the player loses control, like in other words, that ball is not secure under his arm or in his belly, but loses control, and the ball is sort of floating in his hands, but still close to his body, he still is considered to have possession at that point. If the ball then comes out after that, then it is a fumble. But let's take a look, because this is what I'm talking about. He still has it in possession. Now the ball's starting to float around, but it would still be considered possession until it's out and hits the ground there. Now, that's the race. Did the ball hit the ground first, or did Thelwell hit the ground first? Still be considered possession till now. Then it touches, and now he touches. I think the ruling will be fumble.
Stampeders enter the game -4 in the giveaway takeaway category. This would be their second turnover against one takeaway on the night if the call on the field stands.
And I guess the best way to explain it is to look at not when the ball starts to come loose, but when the ball is actually loose.
After reviewing the play, the ball came out before the player was down by contact. It was a fumble ball. Edmonton first down.
And that's how Ken Lazarick has deemed it. Shabazz with the recovery. And the Eskimos back to work.
CFL on TSA. I'm coming back.
And the Edmonton defense has been better since he moved to safety. And I know that's a very important position.
I like the move. This is third game back there, and they have improved with him there.
Down by 4, Ricky Ray, short drop, and Kelly Campbell with another drop. And an almost Calgary interception.
It's been one of those games for Kelly Campbell. It really has. You know, Kelly Campbell's a rookie, and he really not surprised people, that's the wrong way to phrase it, but he impressed people early out. And every year when you get a rookie in the lineup, the rookie will have a game that he looks back and goes, okay, that's the rookie game. Kelly Campbell's having his rookie game tonight.
But again, the veterans all told the rookies this game is a tough one to play. 4 days later,
no question.
You got to be dialed in, and you wonder if he's having trouble adjusting to the quick turnaround. There's a pass broken up, and a late flag. Ricky Ray may have taken a late hit, and this will sustain the drive for Edmonton, as the marker will go against Calgary, and this is a costly Stampeder penalty. And I believe it was Howard Hodges.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Calgary number 93, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Chris, you mentioned the short week, and you know, if you're going to have a game, it sometimes can be this game, especially for rookies. And you can see the 3 or 4 steps that Howard Hodges took before he stepped into Ricky Ray and then put his hands up. Maintaining your discipline when you start to get tired, and in a short week you get tired right about now. In a football game, end of the third quarter, you have to keep that mental focus and discipline, and Howard Hodges didn't do that on that play. That was a dumb penalty to take.
Give the Eskimos a freebie first down. Back to A.J. Harris, and this is snuffed. As that was read, Juwan Armour, but Armour shaken up after making a nice defensive play, and he's in pain.
It was real late. It looked like one of his teammates came over top the pile. What a year for Juwan Armour. He's been on and off the roster. When he's on, the team is so much better. Juwan Armour, number 2, right in front of the goalpost here. He's the guy who makes the play. Steps up, he reads this screen to A.J. Harris, and it's a real late hit on top of Brandon Smith that comes over the top of him. Looked like his own teammate, and he grabbed his knee.
Had a hip pointer, played last week, just a day after going through a bad bout of the flu. Had the mistaken injection in one game, and now he's getting the knee checked from Pat Clayton. Salim Rashid, the man who started in the middle in game 1 against BC and only lasted a few plays, could be back next week for the Stamps. And the plan was for Armour to move back to his will linebacker spot.
You know, he has had that weird year. I mean, you mentioned last week and the flu. He lost 10 pounds before that game for a guy with like 0 body fat. 10 pounds. He has enough energy and looks like he's going to be okay to tell the Edmonton Eskimos huddle what he wants to say.
Well, that they're cupcakes.
Yeah, and take another look at him getting hurt here. Gets rolled on right there. It looked like his right knee or ankle. Brandon Smith.
So Matt Grudegood will come in place of Armour. Loss of 4 on the play, so 2nd and 14. Ray looks one way, now another. Flag down, Kelly Campbell with a catch. Close to a first down at the 10. And again, the penalty marker as Ricky Ray delivered the football.
Well, that took a long time, and I think there's going to be holding on the Edmonton Eskimos, and it was Charleston Hughes who drew the holding call.
Holding, Edmonton number 66, 10-yard penalty, repeat second down.
Former Stampeder Garrett Jones, the left tackle.
Yeah, Charleston Hughes starts over here. It's going to be 3-man pressure, and he's going to end up coming all the way around the other side, and as he does, it's at the very end of the play that the holding call happens. There, he's okay so far, it's okay so far, and then as he turns back around, the holding is right there.
Defensive line for Calgary has stepped it up tonight. Here comes the blitz. Underneath, A.J. Harris can't make the one-hand catch as Wes Lysak on the safety blitz disrupted the timing on that play.
And it's because of the timing from Wes Lysak on the blitz. Because not often do you get this kind of timing when you're trying to make because a change in snap count or anything like that can cause problems. There's Lysak there. He's timed it up so he hits that gap. But he has to get it on the run, and you see that timing is perfect. The gap opens up, and it forces a quick throw from Ricky Ray.
So Prefontaine from 41 yards out, and Prefontaine nails it. And the Eskimos now within one, 21-20, with less than 2 minutes remaining here in the third quarter.
And right now is when these teams have to reach down. They have to find something deep down inside, because this short week, the legs right about now start to get tired and they start to get heavy.
TSN brings you a doubleheader of CFL action Sunday. Game 1, the Argos head into Montreal to take on the first-place Alouettes. And in Game 2, a battle of the prairies, the Banjo Bowl. The Rough Riders are in Winnipeg to take on the Blue Bombers. Live coverage begins at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Both games on TSN HD. And Joe Smith, what kind of action will he get with his new team? Tristan Jackson with the breakup.
Tristan Jackson's been out there on defense playing the corner for Bradley Robinson, who was injured in the first half, and he caused the fumble on Ryan Thelwell, and now he comes back, and he was just in perfect coverage. He got to the ball first, and I thought that might have been intercepted. Remember, Tristan Jackson has a touchdown off an interception so far this year.
Fresh legs. Don't see Bradley Robinson on the sidelines.
Wow.
Mirror image again. Eskimos have owned the football in this third quarter, have cut the lead to 1 after the Shannon James go-ahead touchdown, and there's a Nate Curry drop, and another Calgary 2-0 as we join Sarah Orleski.
Chris, I just spoke to Ryan Thelwell, and he tells me that he is done for the game. He's in very obvious discomfort. He has injured his ribs.
And that's why Nate Curry was in on that last offensive series, and that's too bad because Thelwell was enjoying his best game of the season.
And that play that Nate Curry just dropped the ball, that was Thelwell's play. He had 3 or 4 of those 4 catches. I believe 3 of them were on the sideline where he made a guy miss and got the first down. Curry dropped the ball. Different result on the same play with different personnel.
So Burke Dales to kick it away.
Take it right to the high.
Jackson from his 37.
Take it right to the high.
And Justin Phillips with the tackle as he is finally brought down at the 47. Well, we talked about Mike Labinjo and the impact of a big brother who helped get his career on track.
I don't know if I'd be here today without the program. I was very fortunate to have 2 big brothers that looked out for me, got me involved with sports, and, you know, pretty much kept me straight. There's a lot of kids out there today that don't, you know, have a father in their life, and sometimes, you know, they go down the wrong path. But the guys I ended up with did a great job with me. They taught me how to be a man, and that's why I'm here today.
Yeah, it's an impressive story and an impressive young guy, Mike Labinjo. Long pass downfield, and Julian Battle helping break it up, intended for Brock Ralph. Dwight Anderson there, and fans urging the officials to throw a flag.
Yeah, but I don't think so. I mean, this is one of the first and few times that you will see Ricky Ray throw a duck, and that's what this was. It was not a Ricky Ray type of throw. It was a duck that was hanging up in there, and Julian Battle was just trying to get across to the ball. Kelly Campbell had basically given up on it. Dwight Anderson and Brock Ralph were a crumpled mess. And I think it's a great decision by the officials to just say, no, that wasn't very pretty.
2nd and 10 from the Edmonton 46. Time running out on Ray, who files Gives himself a little more to throw downfield. A low delivery and incomplete. Intended for Campbell. That's the final play of quarter number 3. The team separated by a single point. Third quarter stats brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
Well, you heard Sarah Orlesky in the first half talk about how important time of possession was in the Labor Day Classic. Time of possession, especially in this short week, could become a factor, even though Edmonton was 2-0 in their last series there.
And it has turned around completely. Calgary owned the football in the opening quarter, but since then, they haven't been able to sustain any pressure.
Well, Chris Schultz said at halftime, he said, you know, it's starting to kind of slip away from Calgary, and they have to be concerned with that time of possession disadvantage again, because in this game, the legs get heavy right about now. It's the end of the third quarter, and right now these teams are trying to battle that fatigue and reach down and see if they can make the big play as this game goes through this fourth quarter.
You're saying we're getting near Heartbreak Hill.
Absolutely.
A left footer with a good boot. Prefontaine drives Curry back inside his 10. And he's tripped up as he went across the 15-yard line. Well, another big attendance night here at Commonwealth. They had 48,000 plus for their last home game with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 46,014 tonight. So over 94,000 their last two home games.
It's their game.
And they're enjoying it. And this team is being embraced in Edmonton again after a couple of tough years and a lot of criticism. Burris just gets it away, and Reynolds drops it.
Probably better for Calgary that Joffrey Reynolds dropped that football. All kinds of pressure, and I was about to mention like that crowd that we just showed you in this rematch when the teams are tired now because of that short week, when they have to really reach down, home field advantage becomes a factor. Dario Romero with a nice move through the middle causes a problem for Henry Burris. That crowd can help out that Edmonton defense right now.
Second and 10 from the 17. Brett Ralph's got a catch. And Ralph has been terrific at converting second and long so far tonight.
What a throw and play and timing. This offensive play to Brett Ralph. And Henry Burris yesterday in practice, very complimentary towards Brett Ralph. He said that, you know, when I scramble around or when it's key situations and I see zone defense, I look for Brett Ralph. I will actually scramble to Brett Ralph's side because he is a smart player that knows how to find those holes. The timing was perfect there.
Third first down catch for Ralph in the game. That's the first down of the second half for Calgary. Up at the 35. Burris rolling to his right under pressure and threw away. Anybody in the vicinity? Few offensive linemen there.
It didn't go across the line of scrimmage, but guess who came and bailed his quarterback out?
Brett
Ralph. He was in trouble, and Burris was trying to scramble, and it was Brett Ralph who worked his way all the way back after that first down catch because Burris was in trouble, and if Ralph does back, this is grounding of the football, but you'll see number 11 right there.
Fans amp it up again. Eskimos show blitz. Second and 10. Anatolo off the edge. Burris gets away and throws downfield. And Nick Lewis stretched out and landed on those sore ribs. And ouch.
About a half a yard away, and he was not hit. He had to lay out. Anatolo takes the wrong angle on this blitz, and Henry Burris makes him pay by getting outside of it, but there was so much pressure that he was rushed. Look at Anatolo, comes underneath there. Burris bounces outside that. Scott Coe rushes the throw a little bit, and that's how far he missed Nick Lewis, who was open.
Former Stampeder Scott Coe getting more involved in the situational defenses of the Eskimos. Dales boots it away. Tristan Jackson from his 25 gets a block from Sadiq Shabazz. And Jackson still going. Slowed up, but not brought down. Up to the 43, a return of 17. Well, the CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by CFL All-Star Voting. On now, go to futureshop.ca/all-star and vote for your favorite player today. As the fans get a chance to let their feelings be known on the All-Stars in 2008.
Pick your All-Star.
Guy with the ball right now is going to get some votes. Kamal Peterson drops the ball. Is that a catch and a fumble? Stampeders are celebrating such, and it is Calgary football. Are we going to get a challenge?
Well, I think he had possession, though. It looked like to me Kamal Peterson caught this football and then turned with it and went to look upfield. Catch, turn, and then the ball came out.
And Shannon James with the forced fumble.
Boy, he has been all over this football field, and you know what night it is.
It's Friday night.
It's Friday night. Which means there will be a player on the field tonight that will leave the locker room with a beautiful Movado watch on his wrist. Right now,
challenge flag is out at the Eskimo bench. Brandon Smith with the fumble recovery. After the Shannon James hit on Kamal Peterson.
well, it just looked to me like Kamal Peterson had caught the ball. Now you don't have to put it in underneath your arm. You can have it in your hands, but he caught the ball and turned. Caught the ball, turned, and took a step up the field, then got hit, then the ball came out. Catch, turn, run. Been pretty consistent with this, the officials, with this ruling, and this was a ruling that was scrutinized in the offseason and in fact tweaked the interpretation of catch or no catch.
And tweaked again after the second or third week of the season.
I just think the football move by Kamal Peterson to catch it, have possession, and turn up the field will be enough to constitute possession of the football, and then therefore would be a fumble.
Was a play in Saskatchewan. Davis Sanchez had what he thought was a fumble recovery touchdown in that game, and a challenge overruled the play. I think Danny Machocha had to throw the flag, but I think you've broken it down well. Let's see if Ken Lazarick sees it the same way you do.
After reviewing the play, the Edmonton receiver did have control of the ball. The ball was fumbled. Calgary recovered. Calgary's ball, first down.
Well, worth it for Danny Machocha to take a look at it, but yeah, that's the ruling, and that's been tweaked a couple of times over the last year and a half.
So a one-point game, and turnovers now 2 apiece, and each team has a touchdown off a turnover.
And this flops the field position in favor of Calgary.
They take over at the Edmonton 48. Goes back to pass, going downfield, and Rambo can't hang on. And we've had a couple of drops tonight by players you don't anticipate dropping the football.
Well, you really have, and especially Kenyon Rambo. I mean, you could say Kelly Campbell for Edmonton is a guy, okay, he's a rookie, so he's going to have his moments. But the outside guy here is Kenyon Rambo, runs the post, and what a throw by Burris, because he doesn't put air under it and up over the top. He throws it on a rope so that Kenyon Rambo can come back to it, and he hits him between the 8 and the 5, and you just never see this from Kenyon Rambo.
That's the leading receiver in the Canadian Football League. 5 catches in each start against Edmonton so far this year. And Burris throws that one incomplete, and there'll be a late flag, and Dario Romero's going to get called.
I'm wondering if Dario Romero went low. I mean, I was looking out at Kenyon Rambo live, who was open for a while on the outside.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Edmonton, number 94, 15-yard penalty, first down.
He went after the toe.
Yeah, the fans don't like it, but I'm wondering if he went down low. Henry Burris takes this snap and he goes back and forth a couple times. Like, he drops back here, then he'll step up and back up again. And when he backs up again, well, no, he didn't go low. He just continued to take him to the turf.
Oh, we saw one earlier on Calgary, and now Romero takes one for the Eskimos. And John Cornish into the game off the left side. And Cornish dragged down by Anatolo. As Cornish getting some reps in place of Joffrey Reynolds.
Big break there, that Dario Romero, which was a close one. It looked, I thought for a second he might have gone low on the legs, but certainly he didn't do that.
And now Romero on the limp.
And I guess the officials ruled that he just didn't let go of Burris after the ball was gone. Looked like Dario Romero almost came out there.
Clinton Wayne, a former Stampeder, checks in on the Eskimo defense as Baranachea goes to the bench on 2nd and 3. Play action, quick hitter, Teo Johnson has a first down inside the 10. Like that call on 2nd and 3.
Well, yeah, and this is a tough catch. This catch across the middle. Teo Johnson knows one thing, that he's going to get hit, and he's going to get hit from Shadiq Shabazz, and he gets hit right in the chin.
Holds on, gets 18, and gives Calgary 1st and goal at the 8. 6 receivers out. Burris looking deep, and too deep, just out of the reach of Jermaine Copeland on the end line.
I was just going to mention, after that catch, Teo Johnson comes in and he's limping a little bit, and you could see Copeland trying to get back to the huddle. This is the time. This is who's going to step up and make the big play. Boy, the players are feeling it right now. They are sore. They're beat up. The short week.
Jermaine Copeland, who has 24 of the 100 touchdown passes tossed by Henry Burris as the Stampeders 2nd and goal from the 8. Looking for pay dirt and looking for Copeland, number 25, Jermaine Copeland, touchdown Stampeders.
Jermaine Copeland gets back, guts it out, runs a corner route, and catches it on the opposite side of his body. What a tremendous catch. We've talked many times about the great throws, but look at that. Copeland was looking over his left shoulder, had to come back, twist his body, show that control in the air, and catch a high throw, bring it down for a touchdown.
Tied for the league lead with 10 last year. Copeland with just his 3rd touchdown catch of 2008, but it's a big one. It gives Calgary an 8-point lead. Wendy's CFL on TSN. Friday Night Football is brought to you in part by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. It's way delicious. It's Wendy's. And by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people. That's been a good night in the Alberta capital. Stamps trying to salvage one game of this Labor Day week set in the 3-game season series. Jermaine Copeland's given them an 8-point lead with just under 9.5 minutes to go.
That was really Henry Burrs' only option down on the goal line on that play.
Yeah, we can work that.
Yeah. And he came through. Big catch up and over his head, and he pulled it down.
DeAngelis with the boot. Tristan Jackson, the return. And taken down just across the 30. Neil Turnavatsky with the stop for the Stamps.
I'm going to show you the two principals on this play. There's Copeland right there, and then we got Jason Goss back here in coverage. And I've talked many times about how DBs will protect the inside. Well, Jason Goss takes it to a new level, protecting the inside of the field, and he is 3-4 yards inside of Jermaine Copeland. And why I say he was the only target, look at how Nick Lewis, who is so banged up in this game, came off the ball on that play. He could barely move out there. This is where those players are so tired. Copeland was Henry Burrs' only option, and he came through for him.
Well, it's a war of attrition, and there's an injured Eskimo, Tristan Jackson. The ankle, a problem again as he is in pain. And we'll take a timeout here at Commonwealth Stadium. Our game story is brought to you by Coors Light. Who wants a cold one? As if I don't know in this booth.
Well, I'll have one. A.J. Harris, 156 yards of offense. The Edmonton Eskimos will need him as this fourth quarter winds down and we have a finish. Henry Burrs, couple TD passes, including his 100th as a Stamp.
Ricky Ray dishing. Andrew Nowacki the catch. And he's forced out. And Brandon Smith in the midst of it again for Calgary. Nowacki up to the 38-yard line. Has 5.
And I see Matt Rodegood in the game, and I haven't been able to find Juwan Armour since he went out with that knee injury. That's why I'm wondering about how much A.J. Harris will be used down the stretch here.
2nd and 5. Ray double clutched, and now dishes it off. Kelly Campbell down the sidelines has a catch, and his second grab of the game gets Edmonton a first down into Calgary territory.
Well, a couple of things here. One, Ricky Ray will buy some time and extend the down because everything is covered initially. What he wanted was A.J. Harris out of the backfield to the right of your screen. He doesn't have that because it's covered, but he buys some time. And then with the game that Kelly Campbell's having and all the drops, he looked like he just feathered that in. He said, here, I'm going to throw you a nice little easy one. You catch that one, we'll get something going here.
And as tough a game as it's been for Kelly Campbell, there's still time to salvage the night. 8.5 minutes to go, a 26-yard pickup for Campbell. And now A.J. Harris out of the backfield with room. Brandon Browner will toss him down. What a night for A.J. Harris. And in his 8th start now, only Avon Coburn has more receiving yards out of the running back spot than A.J. Harris.
There's A.J. Harris. There's Grotegood, the linebacker that I was telling you about. He kind of slides to the right of your screen and then gets caught. A.J. Harris sneaks out. He loses his man. That's why Harris is so wide open on the outside. No Juwan Armour. And Ricky Ray went after it.
23 yards on the play. And the officials blow play dead, but consider A.J. Harris didn't start the year in the backfield for the Eskimos. Look at that night. He now has 388 receiving yards. That passes Wes Cates, who's had an outstanding year. And he's become yet another weapon for Ricky Ray and Danny Machocha's offense. So now we're ready to go out of a double tight end formation. And Ray looking deep. Anybody home? Now underneath, Fred Stamps is open. Stamps cuts it back. And Shannon James, or check that, Dwight Anderson won't let him get any further. And it'll be close to another first down as Ricky Ray gets in territory to perhaps tie Warren Moon on this series.
Well, how many steamboats did Ricky Ray have in the pocket there? All kinds of time. Show you the backside angle. No pressure from the Calgary Stampeders. He steps up, looks all the way to his left, bounces back and forth in the pocket, and Stamps came all the way across.
One touchdown pass from tying the team record of Warren Moon's. This is A.J. Harris, and Julian Battle bounces him out just inside the 10.
And that's where the decline begins. It starts on the D-line, moves to the linebackers. That's where that fatigue kicks in first. And then the smaller guys, the defensive backs, running backs like A.J. Harris, it sort of hits them last. Now remember, A.J. Harris was nicked on the Labor Day game, so he may have a little more gas in the tank. He didn't play the full game.
300-yard game for Ricky Ray. Of his 25 completions, 11 into the hands of A.J. Harris in this game. 2nd and 5. Ray looking for 144. No, he'll pull it down. He wants a block, and he's going to get it. Touchdown, Ricky Ray.
The man can direct traffic, whether it be in the huddle, whether it be in the passing game, or whether it be in the open field when he's running for his life, and to be able to direct traffic and tell Calvin McCarty to go ahead and pick up a block, and it's the block he needs to get him in the end zone.
So Ricky Ray gets it into the end zone, and now they go for 2 in the tie. 28-26 with 6 minutes to go. Two-back set. Pass to the goal line, incomplete. Intended for Peterson, and when the smoke clears, the Stamps still have a 2-point lead.
Ricky Ray is directing traffic on the touchdown in the open field. He rolls all the way to his left and has the presence of mind to realize the one guy that can stop him from getting to the end zone, so he directs his running back to go ahead. Now on the 2-point convert, Ricky Ray wants this one back because he had come out Peterson and he just kind of underthrew him here to the outside, and little reaction from Ray after this throw, and you won't see this kind of reaction from Ricky Ray very often. You can see just a little short.
Because even if Peterson makes that catch, he probably doesn't break the plane with the way the ball was delivered. And Ray knew it.
Yeah, and that's about as much emotion as you'll see from Ricky Ray as he just kind of, he knows it was on him on the 2-point convert.
But he does have his 3rd touchdown run of the year. He gets the Eskimos within 2. And we have gotten everything we could have expected in this Labor Day rematch at 28-26. And still lots of time remaining at Commonwealth Stadium. Joffrey Reynolds on the return up to the 32-yard line. Adrian Baird, one of the first men down, and he's one of the top special teams men in the league this year, was 12 special teams tackles. A quiet night for 21.
It has been, especially in the second half, and that's what I was going to mention there. He's on that return, but A.J. Harris, important part of the Edmonton offense when this entire team is tired. Joffrey Reynolds has 1 carry in the second half for just 4 yards. In the first half, he had 9 carries out of the backfield. Haven't seen him much in this second half, and the Calgary Stampeders will need him.
Remember, he did not finish last week. Back spasms, second half. And up firing is Burris, and Jermaine Copeland wins the battle for the ball. Took it away from Jonte Buell, and Jermaine Copeland, who has been quiet much of the year, has been the most dangerous weapon for the Stamps tonight.
Well, you know, I would take it even further, Chris. I'd say it hasn't been a quiet year. It's been a bad year for Jermaine Copeland coming in. and maybe this is the one that gets him going, because he did win the battle one-on-one with Jonte Buick, took it right off his back and out of his hands. Maybe this will be Copeland's breakout game.
On pace for less than 650 receiving yards on the year. Third catch of the night, and he does have a touchdown. John Cornish in again in place of Reynolds. Takes it for a couple inside the 40.
You know, you mentioned the back spasms from Joffrey Reynolds on Labor Day. We did see the one return. He's had just one carry in the second half. It's almost like the Stampeders are trying to save him. They're trying to rest him. Maybe he's not, well, we know he's not 100%, but maybe he's not even close. Because when they do run the ball, they go to Cornish.
It's like he's having a little trouble breathing on the sidelines. 75 yards last week, 51 on one touchdown drive. And here's another big Copeland play for first down. Jermaine Copeland giving Calgary another first down.
Nick Lewis is banged up. We've shown him barely getting off the line of scrimmage. You've seen Joffrey Reynolds, who is clearly struggling. There's Jermaine Copeland. He's going to run the out route where he goes down about 5-6 yards, turns to the outside, catches that ball, comes back and makes one guy miss. Copeland is really their only target right now.
Ryan Thelwell's out of the game. And Copeland has 4 catches for 94 yards.
Henry Burris basically has Jermaine Copeland or Kenyon Rambo, who really the only two that he has as targets, because Nick Lewis is really struggling. You mentioned Thelwell out.
And it may be Nick Lewis who's down again. Yes, it is. Probably shouldn't be playing with the rib injury.
What an effort by Nick Lewis on the play to Copeland. I mean, he probably shouldn't be playing. He's gutting it out, trying to help his teammate. And I want to show you what he did with bad ribs, without the football in his hand. People talk about Nick Lewis being a guy who loves to talk and all that, but that's coming from the left of your screen. Right there is Nick Lewis, and you know, folks, that takes a special guy to throw it in there like that. He doesn't have the ball. It's not about the glory for him here. Oh. He's hurt, and he throws a block like that.
On his old buddy Scott Coe. And is there a better blocking receiver in the CFL? First and 10, Joffrey Reynolds back in the game, a cutback and tripped up. After a couple. Clock winding down now, just over 3 minutes to go. And the Stamps getting it into field goal range to make it a 5-point lead.
Said it was an embarrassing outing on Labor Day. The Calgary Stampeders, John Hufnagel said, we're back to square one. What we had built really disappeared on Labor Day. Well, they're gutting it out right now.
Could be one step backwards and 2 forwards tonight. I'm talking field goal. They're thinking touchdown on 2nd and 8. Pressure. Open Brett Ralph. Can't bring it down. That would have been large. 3-minute warning given to the benches here. It's Calgary by 2. John Hufnagel's crew lost a game at home against Saskatchewan, came back the next week. You thought Jermaine Copeland might have been the target here?
Well, the Edmonton Eskimos know that he's been the only target for Henry Burris, so they double him, put Jason Goss on the inside, and look, Shadiq Shabazz right here on the other side. It's a double team between the two of them. They take away Copeland, and so Burris needs someone else to step up and make a play, and you can tell it's been a short week, because I believe Brett Ralph, if it's not just a 3 or 4 day work week and his legs aren't real tired like I know they are right now, he makes that catch and just a little over his head.
So DeAngelis back on to attempt his 14th straight. And to force the Eskimos to need a major score. Ralph the holder from 29 yards out. Chevrier, the long snapper. And they work it perfectly and put it through. And it's a 5-point Calgary lead. Sandro's automatic again.
Well, 2:22 remaining. Calgary Stampeders have been in this position before this year at Commonwealth with a chance to win on the road against their rivals. And that game, Jason Tucker stole a chance to win away from them.
Ricky Ray in that game drove 84 yards in 36 seconds, 3 plays, and that remarkable Jason Tucker touchdown to win it. Does John Hufnagel get revenge tonight, or do the Stamps have their hearts broken again? They start at the 35, and Ray looks downfield, and Kamal Peterson takes a huge hit from Julian Battle to make sure he can't hang on.
Timing there from Julian Battle as the layered route across the middle. Ricky Ray has to put some air on it. It's going to come from the right of your screen, right through the middle. You can see number 8, Kamal Peterson, and you see the air he has to put on it to get it over the linebackers. That gives Julian Battle a chance to get there, and he puts his shoulder right across the head, Kamal Peterson.
2nd and 10, Edmonton. Here comes the blitz from Dwayne Carpenter. Just got away. Peterson. Leveled again. Dwight Anderson.
Calgary digging down right now. 2 big hits in the secondary. Julian Battle on Kamal Peterson. Dwight Anderson on Kamal Peterson. That one maybe looked a little bit better than it was, in that Kamal Peterson may have been slipping a little bit as he got hit, but nevertheless,
that's a tough 5 yards.
That's tough back-to-back plays for number 8 for Edmonton.
And on 3rd down, they're going to punt, and Treble Prefontaine dropped it, and he's dropped all the way back at the 15-yard line. Mike Labinjo with pressure, and Noel Prefontaine may have snuck a peek and dropped the football.
It was a low snap, but one that Prefontaine catches 99% of the time. Just a little bit low to his knee, but he catches that, and Prefontaine will tell you that's one of the great athletes as a kicker, but an athletic kicker, and he makes that catch. He'll tell you that was his fault.
So now the Stampeders can put it away. 2:06 to go. Leading by 5 and a first down at the 17. Henry Burris to Rambo. Kenyon Rambo, touchdown. There are markers on the play.
See what the penalty is. The penalty flag came out late in the play. So Rambo, even if it's against Calgary, may get some yardage first before the penalty is assessed if it's against Calgary.
Injured Edmonton Eskimo is Jason Goss. He's getting attention while the officials sort out this penalty marker.
Well, there was all kinds of collisions right at the point of attack. You know that Nick Lewis, I think, ran into Jason Goss. Jesse Newman was out there as well.
Interference. Calgary number 80, 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Penalty against Jermaine Copeland. That takes the touchdown off the board. And this game's still in the balance.
You know what Copeland did is he blocked Jordan Younger just before Kenyon Rambo had caught the ball. Copeland's allowed to block on a screenplay, but look at number 80 right to the right of your screen there. He's right in the middle of your picture. He puts that block. He starts the block before the catch is made, and you can't, that's interference. You can't block the defensive back before the ball is caught.
So John Hufnagel agrees to disagree while Jason Goss gets attention. And remember, The Eskimos secondary's already lost Bradley Robinson in this game. Tristan Jackson hobbled off. He's gone back in. And now they're going to have to make another adjustment in the secondary with Jason Goss down. Let's find out what happened to him.
Jesse Newman came out. He was blocking, as was Nick Lewis from the backside, and Jason Goss was in the bottom of the pile. There he is there. Watch follow number 4. He gets pushed down there. Here comes Nick Lewis. Knee to the ribs there, and then Newman on top of him as well. Sorry, that wasn't Jesse Newman. That was Ben Archibald. Nevertheless, Jason Goss was at the bottom of all of that.
So 1:59 on the clock, and the Eskimos still have life as the touchdown taken off the board by the penalty.
Well, but their life runs out here in this game if they can't hold Calgary to a field goal here.
Shannon Garrett comes over to confer with Rick Campbell while Goss gets to his feet, as they have to. I would guess that Shannon Garrett may have to go back into the secondary, and Scott Coe will take his spot at linebacker.
They're trying to sort it out right now.
And Goss very gingerly getting off. So after the penalty, it'll be 1st and 20. And again, the Eskimos must hold Calgary to no better than a field goal.
This is where they have to dig down on defense, the Edmonton Eskimos, and find out who's going to step up and make that play. For the Calgary Stampeders offensively, it's been Jermaine Copeland. He stepped up. Shannon James on defense, huge game for him.
The Eskimos haven't swept this Labor Day set since 2004. They haven't won a 3-game sweep of their Alberta rivals since 2002. And the Stamps poised to avoid that here tonight. So Goss has reached the sidelines.
Scott Coe is lined up at safety right now.
That's not what we might have expected. And will Shabazz move into Goss's spot, or will that be Garrett?
Well, it looks like Jordan Younger is on the short side of the field at corner. And they've moved Shannon Garrett beside him and maybe moved Shabazz up. There's Jordan Younger and there's Garrett. Now the reason they probably are doing this, Sadiq Shabazz moves up because he knows the linebacker spot. He's only played 3 games at safety, so he knows it real well. Scott Coe's relatively new to the team and to the defense. And they could say to him, you stay straight in the middle. Or they could be lining them up like that so that that's what Calgary thinks, and then they'll roll Scott Coe back down and put Sadiq Shabazz right back in the middle. They do know one thing. Shannon Garrett can play halfback. He's played half his career as a defensive back. It has given both teams a chance to catch their breath, try and find that last bit of energy, last bit of gas they have in the tank. But right now, Scott Coe's at safety.
Excuse me, Suits, we had a little break here as a security issue on the field delayed things, but now ready to go. 1st and 20. And Burris back to toss, looking down to the goal line. It's caught, touchdown. An outrageous catch by Kenyon Rambo,
who took the hit from the new safety, Scott Coe, and hung on to the football. And what do they do, the Calgary Stampeders, when they see the adjustments that the Edmonton Eskimos make by making Scott Coe the linebacker right here? The free safety is go right down the middle with your #1 receiver, Kenyon Rambo, and you take your chances with that matchup. And Scott Coe did a pretty good job. He put the hit on him. His timing was good, but Rambo hung on.
So if at first you don't succeed, they go back to Rambo, and this time no penalties, and the touchdown stays on the board. And the Stampeders are that close to avoiding the sweep against their hated rivals. 4th touchdown of the year for Rambo, just his 2nd in 7 weeks.
And you know, it's interesting because had Scott Coe stayed right up in the huddle during that long break and not given away the fact that he was the free safety on the play, and he doesn't do a bad job, he really doesn't. His timing is pretty good on the hit, but if he stays up in the huddle, maybe Calgary doesn't notice. Maybe Kenyon Rambo doesn't notice, and Henry Burris, because they called a play where they had Nick Lewis over the middle, shorter than Rambo, and they just attacked right where the Edmonton Eskimos had to make the adjustment.
So turnovers have been critical in this game. 21 of 38 points for the Stamps off turnovers. That's why you thought maybe Coe was decoying, standing back there in the deep safety spot.
Yeah, because he really declared through that whole long break. He stood back there, and then I thought, well, it's almost too obvious. When Jason Goss got hurt, it's almost too obvious that Coe would line up at the safety that early and sort of give away the adjustment being made. Maybe they're just trying to disguise it and roll him back down, but they didn't. They left him in the middle. Kenyon Rambo took advantage of it and hung on after taking the hit from Coe.
Don't go to celebrate.
You hear the bench right there. I don't know if you heard that. They said, don't go celebrating just yet. There's still 1:52 left.
Short kickoff. Bertrand. And Bertrand through the first wave, and Edmonton will have decent field position up at their own 53-yard line. And it's time for the Friday Night Gladiator, brought to you by Castrol. More than just oil, it's liquid engineering.
You know, honorable mention here to Nick Lewis, who's really gutted it out and done some nice things. But I thought on defense, from the start to the finish, and not just this game, but because these players think of the 2 games, the Labor Day and the rematch, as really one set, Shannon James has put together back-to-back tremendous games, was all over the field, caused fumbles, had an interception for a touchdown, but he was the man tonight.
Eskimos still with time. Pressure underneath. Kamal Peterson the catch, and he has a first down. Forward progress looked like it was about the Calgary 43. And tonight's Gladiator, Shannon James, receives a Movado Series 800 watch. The much coveted.
Is it ever? You know, I'll also give a little, you know, A.J. Harris for Edmonton had a good game.
There's a catch for Kevin Challenger, the first catch of his CFL career. And Calgary Stampeder property, he came over in the Dimitri Supas deal. And he has his first catch in the CFL. So 90 seconds to go. And the Stamps have not put the W up on the board yet.
Well, that guy's pretty good that you're looking at right there, number 15. He's got a few things that he can accomplish in a hurry.
Long out, and Nowacki snuck a peek and dropped the ball. May have seen that last hit Dwight Anderson laid out.
Everybody now just walking back to the huddle, barely getting there. Little different game for Ricky Ray tonight than it was on Labor Day, because on Labor Day he had all the time in the world.
He almost got a free pass on Monday, but not tonight, as you see that line of Calgary pressure stats. Second and 10. Ray has lots of time, looks downfield, and another drop. And that'll bring up third down as Kamal Peterson couldn't bring it in. Ricky Ray did not have a touchdown pass in the opener against Saskatchewan. That's the only other game in which he has not thrown a major.
We've seen lots of drops tonight, and I'm going to put it right on the short week. You know, I really can't emphasize enough how tough it is for these players. There's a reason you can play one football game and you need a week to recoup and recover. There's a reason for that you can't play 2 games in a couple days. This is the one time it happens. The fans love it. We love it, but it is tough on the players.
3rd and 10. Eskimos trying to stay alive. Big hit on Ray. Pass incomplete, but a late hit charged, or a headshot on Dwayne Carpenter. I don't think he realized he got the call, but that's going to keep this alive. The minute 13 to go.
You see John Huffnagel take a anxious look to the clock.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Calgary, number 29, 15-yard penalty. First down.
The defenders have to be careful with this, and I've seen it before a few times already this year. Go ahead and run it, guys. Watch the hit by Carpenter. He's going to try and knock the ball down first, but then he has his hands up high to try and knock the ball down, and as he continues on to the hit, those arms come right down into the head. So that's roughing the passer because it's a headshot.
And it's a first down at the 15. 73 seconds left. Not done yet. Ray in trouble again, and down he goes, and Mike Labinjo has the hat trick, his 3rd sack of the night. Just his 4th of the year, but he's gotten to Ricky Ray on a regular occasion, and now he's slow to get up. He was injured last year, a season-ending injury on Labor Day against Edmonton.
Well, he was well blocked initially, but didn't quit. And just is out of gas.
And you hope it's not the elbow again.
It's been bothering him all year. It was Labor Day last year that he injured his elbow. And it's been bothering him ever since. He wears that special brace on it. And that's what they're looking at now.
Man, what a heartbreak for him if it was to be a recurrence of that injury on this one of his best games of the year. I don't want to say it's his best because he was brilliant in a game against the BC Lions in which he was honored as the Gladiator.
And an honorable mention tonight also.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and he started the game very well. He played great. In fact, drew a couple of holding calls. Don't end up in the stats, but that's because he was getting it done.
Back-to-back sacks on the first series of the game, and now one late. 66 seconds remaining.
There's still time in this game.
There is. 2nd and 17. But close enough for a shot right here across the middle, and Fred Stamps has it down at the 3.
Wonder if that tackle by Brandon Smith to keep Stamps out and make the Edmonton Eskimos run another play. If those few seconds might be enough for Calgary, but it's not over yet, folks. Crossing route for the Edmonton Eskimos. Here comes Fred Stamps.
Matthew Bertrand trying to get it in as soon as he can, and he does. Power his way in. 49 seconds left.
Okay, but that play took 8 seconds. So now, Prefontaine will come out, take the extra point. They'll have to go onside kick. Try and get the ball back, and then we'll see. Probably with about 30 seconds, depending on how long it takes to kick the ball off.
There'll be time if they are successful on the onside kick. That will be the test. Prefontaine puts it through. And so it's a 5-point game.
No need to go for 2 there for the Edmonton Eskimos to make it a 4-point game. Still need the major. So now the Edmonton Eskimos line up the onside kick team, which is often a lot of fun to watch because it's usually student body right or left for the kicking team. and there is an enormous collision where the ball will drop in. Kickers will try and angle that to the sideline. Now the receiving team and Craig Dickinson, the special teams coordinator, will try and get them ready. Noel Thorpe for the Edmonton Eskimos gets their kicking team ready. What he's saying is go and try and take someone out, go after the football, we just have to touch it. On the other side, Craig Dickinson says the front row has to take their men out. Don't allow it to be a fight for the football. Let our returner catch it cleanly. So it's about that front line of attack. This could be an exciting play in football. We'll see how the Edmonton Eskimos line it up.
Again, the Eskimo special teams were introduced tonight, and now their hopes of winning the game come down to them recovering this onside kick.
Interesting what Edmonton has done. They've got 3 separate groups, so there's options. There's a group over here, a group in the middle, and then a group on the outside. That keeps Calgary completely spread out, and it gives Noel Prefontaine some options. But it's that front row for Calgary. He's got to take out the front rush from the Edmonton Eskimos.
Here we go. Up in the air in front of that Calgary bench. Kamal Peterson off him. Is that Edmonton football? They're going to talk about it.
Were they the last to touch it, though? It looked like it bounced around before it went out of bounds.
Did hit Kamal Peterson.
It hit him initially, but then hit the ground. I think Augie Baranacheo was close to it for Edmonton as well.
I think the Eskimos have it. It may go to video review.
Here's a good look at it. I believe it was Kamal Peterson the first to touch.
Up against
Copeland. They go together. Now, Kamal Peterson, it bounced off his chest against Jermaine Copeland. Now it's on the ground. There's Baranachea. Does he get it before it goes out of bounds there?
See, Copeland was arguing that it hit him off the shoulder pads.
Will be reviewed.
And they're going to review it.
I'm not sure either if Copeland's hand inside of Kamal Peterson touched it before it went out, and then it would be whether or not Augie Baranachea hits it before it goes out on the stripe. Because it looked like Copeland put his hand in between the hands of Kamal Peterson there.
Copeland did signal as if he was the man who hit it. And
boy, this is going to be tight. This is going to be close. Here's another great look at it. Jermaine Copeland, now does he touch it or does Kamal Peterson touch it?
And who touches it last if they both do?
Looked like he won the jump, but you see Copeland hit it with his right hand as it was bouncing off the helmet of Kamal Peterson. Now, did Baranachea touch it after that? Oh boy, this is going to be tight. Looked like he hit it. That looked like Jermaine Copeland hit it. Now, does Baranachea touch it before it goes out?
This one's out there.
It's out of bounds, and then he touches it. Okay, so Baranachea did not touch it. So it's between Kamal Peterson and Jermaine Copeland. And this is going to be one of the toughest reviews all year.
You're right.
That's the tough one.
Both players selling it as if they were the last to touch it. Watch the way Copeland puts his hand between the hands of Peterson.
Look at the right hand of Copeland. See how he hits it with his right hand?
Now, does it go off Peterson's shoulder pad after that? There's another. But it's that right hand.
Yeah.
And this couldn't get tougher. Tell you what, Jermaine Copeland's had his best game of the year.
And if the Edmonton Eskimos win this, if Kamal Peterson wins this, they have 46 seconds.
Yes, time is no longer an issue. We are being told that the ruling on the field was Calgary football. There was a quick surge of celebration, and I thought they'd ruled Edmonton ball here at the stadium, but we're now told that They ruled Calgary ball, and Ken Lazarick has to see enough to overturn it, and I'm not sure that's available.
I don't know if it is, but I'll tell you what, that was an absolutely perfect kick from Noel Prefontaine, and that is a real skill. He put that ball to give his team a chance. He put it high to get Kamal Peterson some time to get down. Kamal Peterson actually won the jump. He was higher than Copeland, but his hands were spread apart, and Copeland went between them.
Jermaine Copeland looked like a defensive back there.
And if this holds and Calgary gets the ball, there's one of your offensive players of the week right there, Jermaine Copeland, who stepped up in the second half and may have made the biggest play of the game right there.
Can't help but think, excuse me, Glenn, the 2002 Grey Cup short kick into the game. Jermaine Copeland not only broke it up, but he ended up scoring a touchdown on a short kick attempt by the Eskimos in that Grey Cup game.
And Jermaine Copeland 4 for 94 and a touchdown in this game.
So his best game, 5 minutes in this review. And will it go right down to the wire, or have the Stampeders all but locked up their 6th win of the year and created another second-place tie in the CFL West?
Well, you know what? I understand. I know that this is going to be a tough one. This is probably their toughest challenge.
I just read Kyle Peterson's lips, and he's telling Mike Kelly, "I know I hit it." Now, that's his story. He's sticking to it. Let's see what Ken Lazarick thinks.
After reviewing the play, there is no conclusive evidence to overturn the ruling on the field. It will be Calgary's ball.
And if that was the ruling on the field, Ken Lazarick's right. I don't think we had conclusive evidence.
You know, that play came down to the ruling on the field, because it could have easily been ruled Edmonton ball because it happened so fast and Kamal Peterson was right there, and had it been ruled Edmonton's ball, it wouldn't have been overturned either. That one came down to the ruling, and there wasn't conclusive evidence to overturn it.
So the Stampeders 46 clicks away. Short gain there. And the Eskimos will take their timeout.
Danny Machocha may get the football back again after that timeout, but the difference in field position is enormous.
Henry Burris went to the sidelines to get a word of advice from the coaching staff on how to utilize the 42 seconds, 2nd and 9. Quarterback draw on the bad foot, and he lunged ahead, and he may have it. Well, the play that no one would have anticipated with the bad foot from Henry Burris, and what's forward progress?
Oh, great call. That's a tremendous call, because it's a safe play. John Hufnagel talked to Burris before it. It is the element of surprise, Chris, as you mentioned, because of his foot, because he hasn't run all game. And there is no exchange to a running back, no throw to a receiver that could end up in an incompletion, or it could end up worse, an interception. A tremendous call by John Hufnagel.
His first run of the game, and that has John Hufnagel discarding the headset and getting ready to celebrate. There was a flag as the Eskimo bench had too much to say to the official.
I would like to say, though, that, you know, congratulations to both these teams in this game, because I always marvel watching this rematch, and basically 4 days after they went at it on Labor Day, and in what is the most intense game of the regular season.
Objection to conduct. Edmonton bench. That penalty is declined. First down, Calgary.
Was a first down run by Henry Burris, and Danny Machoch's team will be the last home squad in 2008 to suffer a defeat.
But both these teams put on a great show tonight. We saw a few more drops than we've normally seen from receivers, but they put on a show tonight with just 4 days rest from Labor Day.
Well, it can be a wacky game. Henry Burris trying to run out the clock now, and there might still be a debate or two down there. It'll be the 4th road win of the season for the Stamps, and one they really needed to keep their hopes of finishing ahead of Edmonton alive, because a loss and they would have been 4 down and essentially 6 points down because they'd lose a tiebreaker. But right now back into a second-place tie with the Edmonton Eskimos.
A character-building game for the Calgary Stampeders without question.
Step back and a step forward tonight for Henry Burris and the Calgary Stampeders. The late Kenyon Rambo touchdown does stand up, and the Stamps win it 38-33. So the Eskimos are unable to sweep the Stampeders. Time for the TSN turning point.
Well, for that turning point, let's go way, way back after the Calgary Stampeders, after losing on Labor Day, fumbled their first snap that turned into an Edmonton touchdown. On the very next season, they got a drive going. Cornish in the running game. Nick Lewis caught a catch. And Henry Burris to Ryan Thelwell capped it off. They tied the score up. That was a big comeback series in the second series of the game for the Stamps.
TSN Turning Point brought to you by the 2008 GMC Sierra Professional Grade. Well, the Eskimos won in Calgary, but the Stamps come right back to Commonwealth Stadium and prevail 38-33, and both teams tied for second in the CFL West at 6-4. So long from Commonwealth.